Yeah. You know we rock and roll. The moon on my left side, my left arm, and the sun on the right side. Rock and roll always. Monday. Gotta begin commence with gratitude. Grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bill's paid, got food and coffee. Rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food and coffee, and we're going for a little workout overtime every time. Dragon vs. Storm Special Edition, marking, celebrating, of course, 5 years since I survived COVID in 2020, back between February 7, 2020 and March 24th. Gotta watch the puddles of water. I was stricken by COVID, so I'm personally basically celebrating a little bit, and that's why we gotta get going on that celebration today. Celebrating surviving COVID, having survived COVID 5 years ago. Wow, 5 years ago, 2020. I had it up at the beginning. I was really sick. I thought I was gonna die, you know. I thought that was my last chapter. I said, that's it for me, the end of my story. Rainbow Dragon died. I'm being reborn. Nothing that I will to go back to. Just living for today, carpe diem. Got those red gloves in the backpack with which I'm challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, and we're heading towards the sun, the SUN, like a snake towards the sunset. Of course, we changed the times, we changed the hours, so that's gonna go see how it is now, you know, because of the change. We advanced the hour, of course, yesterday, so the daylight saving time and the advancement. So gotta say, my rock and roll, look at that beautiful tree. Sometimes you gotta admire that flora and that fauna, and although financially stressed, I'm auctioning everything that I'm wearing from head to toe. Thank you to my anonymous friend, whom if I make $1 million, gonna give that half, 50-50 for $1 billion. I got this blue, like the sky blue, one of the greatest jackets I ever had, and gotta auction it for $1 million. Gonna give 50 cents to my anonymous friend, and auctioning this green goddess GODDS set every day 24/7, because I credit my surviving COVID to the goddess, and this red hoodie and the underwear and the pants on this 2 degrees when I left. It's what it's supposed to. Actually, it's supposed to be more in the minus, right? Because now we're moving towards that spring. It is 10th of March today. The 10th of March, you know. So yours truly, 5 years since I survived COVID, in between February 7, 2020 and March 2024. I was very sick. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. 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 I know when I say that it was like death, pestilence, and disease, it sounds like a hardcore rock and roll, death, thrash, metal, Black Sabbath type of style rock and roll, something that maybe Ozzy would sing, you know. I sing more of those rock and roll for the farmers, for the butchers, for the bakers, for the truckers, for the nurses, for the doctors, firefighters. I sing a little bit of that workers rock and roll a lot. 50-50, you know, I can go dark, light, XYZ, twerky, but I'm an artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical, analyst, and theorist, and you know I have Asperger's, so rock and roll is one of my special interests. It's 24/7. Rock and roll, geopolitics, and sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport, although on a more social nature, I'm like many Aspies, more difficulties, you know, in those manners of understanding the social norms and the laws of conduct, you know, and the Aspies were a part of a tiny minority of neurodivergence, and Asperger's is not a mental illness. It is a neurological mental divergent condition, which of course makes us predisposed to special interest, what is also named as obsessive interest. And I can actually spend doing my laundry more than 6 hours from this morning, just immersed in geopolitics, studying revision. And of course I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst, parallel to being an artist, athlete, philosopher, and mystic, who since 2018 challenges Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border. That's when I kind of got into politics, when Donald Trump first imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. I think the dog is singing, "Go Dragon, go Dragon, go Dragon. Dragon's fists are gonna make Trumpo's nose grow like Pinocchio. Dragon's fists are gonna make Trumpo's nose grow like Pinocchio. Dragon's fists are gonna make Trumpo's nose grow like Pinocchio's." Yours truly, tiny hands, tiny feet, androgynous pansexual artist, athlete, philosopher, going towards that beautiful sunset. And although financially stressed, financially struggling, you know, it's March 10th, I gotta say, grateful, thankful, my rent's paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, got food. I wish I could afford a massage therapy session, but you know, Wall Street, millionaires, billionaires, finance, please, please, please. Those who pick up the garbage, thank you. Pick up the compost and the garbage, and the recycling this morning was picked up by those athletes, public sanitation workers, public workers, go public workers of the city with the brains and muscle. And later on, I took that black bag to put the garbage out, so those workers are gonna pass with those big machines and big muscles and go street to street, street to street, street to street, and get that garbage getting in the machines. And I gotta sing some rock and roll for them as well, you know, because it's not all about Wall Street, all about money, all about the athletes. They're also athletes. Public workers or North Americans unite. Let's get that North American collective workers party. Pledge your allegiance, allegiance to our family. Let's get that North American collective workers party. Careful with the car, bro. Bro, sister, bro, black, white, whatever you are, you know, you're a citizen. I gotta be careful, and I gotta check my eyes. I'm going for an eye appointment, optometrist, because I could see a person from afar, but I wasn't sure what it was. It was like blurred. So sometimes I'm so focused, I guess, towards super focused, super concentrated, super intense. But in the public, when I march in the streets, when there's cars, I got added responsibilities, duties, and obligations. So I got to watch out for myself and for my fellow other citizens, because I'm no longer just in my dragon's lair, underground dragon's lair. If I would have stayed in my dragon's lair, I would have had less responsibilities, duties, and obligations. But you know, I love to march and exercise and dance. So it's part of my special interest, you know, sports and fitness, having lost between 80 and 93 pounds ever since 2017 when I crossed Canada coast to coast. Got out of being depressed and suicidal, and after that in 2018 I kind of got involved in politics, and I started challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, and I will then the support to build a Canadian-United States joint public-private partnership venture to build a North American rink made of aluminum and steel. Canadian joint USA works, you know, to get that PPP. And now I'm calling for the building of the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, an 11 times big Coliseum structure greater than the greatest NFL stadiums. Canada joint public-private partnership PPP to build on the Canadian-US border a massive sports complex for sports in perpetuities. Sportus in perpetuitas. Sportus in perpetuitas. Sportus in perpetuitas. Some Latin motto on it. Dragon Trump, public-private partnership. I'm going to put the kisses, because kisses I got created from the goddess GODDSS by the trillions, with some rock and roll, some washing of the feet, some massages to build for sports and fitness, men and women, trans, whatever. And the more cooperative, competitive, it could be competitions also, but also cooperation and just general overall fitness. My workout training program system, and to dance in parallel with the vis-a-vis the building which I will to build. Construction workers, I'm gonna credit y'all some of that good rock and roll and feet washing to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple. That's my dream. When I say pledge your allegiance, allegiance to our family, I mean it. When I say pledge your allegiance, allegiance family, I mean it. When I say pledge your allegiance, allegiance family, I mean it 100%. Pledge your allegiance, allegiance to our family. Rock and roll towards the sunset we go. Gonna cut it through here. See if I can interject. Maybe go by the other, say what a beautiful sunset. And there's always a sunset and a sunrise. And I gotta watch it, because sometimes, you know, the cars don't make that stop. I gotta watch it for myself and for the others, you know, to be on the safe and prudent side, to get, if I get to kind of slow down a little bit. You know, there's the pedestrian, but there's a pedestrian here, but it kind of wore off a bit, because there was a pedestrian right here when I crossed, but it's kind of wore off. You need to be a little bit on that redone and, you know, get some paint. Public workers, we got a lot of work in North America to rebuild the bridges, support the dream. My dream is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex across North America. When I say support the dream, my dream is fundamentally a call. A call for a public-private partnership across the collective North American civilizational complex. And I guess it's getting a bit colder. It's supposed to drop to 0 by midnight, so I should be okay. I got something in the backpack just in case, but here we are. March, Monday. Stock market crash special edition. I believe the stock market crash began today. You know, I had first seen it. I said there's a possibility, as you know, parallel public and private finances of both Canada, US are, of course, in a critical emergency scenario, an emergency port of criticism, and kind of in a worst case scenario possibility of position of a black swan, you know, a financial event. And myself just also $10,000 in debt, but my rent's paid. I'm not late on rent. Paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, paid my rent, paid my electricity bill, you know. So that's what I gotta do with that. So that's what I gotta get doing, you know, here. So that's what it is with that. And you know, you see that beautiful sunset. We gotta get it on the go with that. And here, you know, I gotta salute the Public Works for building all this for the children, the youth, you know, something which was built during COVID. So I always got to admire the Public Works for that. But back to what I was saying, the stock market was, of course, routed today. So I can say the March is also going to be meditating a little bit on the stock market, as we do everything under the sun, you know. Stock market crash, Dragon versus Trump March, and celebrating 5 years since I survived COVID. And here's the Public Works machine that's putting a little bit of salt, and gotta take a little bit of appreciation for the public workers, you know, with that big machines, big tools there, salutations, you know, clearing the street. And as I'm going towards the sunset now, and then we're gonna turn and go towards the moon. We're going towards the sun, my Pope, the King, the Sun, and the moon. That's also GODDSS, because I goddess it. When I say God bless Canada, God bless the USA, I also gotta say goddess. I gotta goddess it as well, you know. Gotta get that 50-50. You know, trillions of kisses laying the foundation for the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom with trillions of kisses. I got trillions of kisses straight from the forgotten goddess. Yeah, to lay the foundations here in the new world. Let's join fuse together, Canada, US, in a public-private partnership, and my protocol's best initiatives, you know. I don't know about that 51st state, you know. I've been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match ever since the imposition of tariffs, but I was born in the United States 3 times in past lives, once born as a woman, twice as a man, and even served in the United States Armed Forces. Just read that. George Patton through a glass darkly. Read that. George Patton through a glass darkly. Read that. George Patton through a glass darkly. You just gotta read that. Through a glass darkly. One of my favorite poems by George Patton. And I know that I got your back here, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, 24/7. That's what's up. And we're gonna play that defense, Dragon Army. How do we channel the aggression? Dragon Army by push-ups and hugs. How do we channel the aggression? Dragon Army by push-ups and hugs. How do we channel the aggression? Dragon Army by push-ups and hugs. You know, I don't like violence. I do not like violence. I do not like violence. I want to see the streets of the North American Collective full of playfulness and challenging to challenge and play and in the streets of our big cities and small cities to be very playful. And I don't like violence, you know. I can be intense, and I can be super intense because of Asperger's, and super concentrated, and, you know, I guess aggression, but it's important to channel it, you know. Channel and sublimate are 2 key words of my philosophies, you know. I gotta watch the ice there, but it's something that I don't like, you know. The violence, you know, I don't like violence. I just don't like it, you know. So it's important to channel it, and aggression also, you know. So only use it for defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, you know. I see people peaceful and playing and loving and dancing, you know. My favorite sport and fitness activity is, of course, dancing, but gotta play that defense and challenge the aggression. And, you know, please, millionaires, give the firefighters, those who pick up the garbage, the compost, give them a massage therapy session. For a few years now, I've been craving a good massage therapy session, and give them a massage, you know. But hey, I got to take a bath. Actually, I didn't take one during the weekend. I think I was time warped in different time dimensions, and I connected with my parallel self. And in that parallel timeline, I'm also an Aspie, also a Telemite. But there, I'm gonna want to be Telemite in both, you know. Love to Lima. So back in that parallel life, I'm a super scientist. I also have Asperger's. But my obsessive interest, special interest, I prefer using the term special interest, is what we Aspies have. And those activities, those interests preoccupy with intensity, super concentration, super focus, our daily routines and habits. And mine are, and were, and are today, geopolitics 24/7, sports and fitness. Dancing is my favorite sport and fitness activity, and rock and roll. That's my holy trinity of special interest, as I am an Aspie, part of this neurodivergent community, which is not a, Asperger's is not a mental illness. Again, it is a neurological mental divergent condition which makes us predisposed to certain characteristics, and again, they're not symptoms. Symptoms are more for an illness, while Asperger's is just our brains are different. So we have these peculiar habits and routines and characteristics of the bodily movements, which can seem very strange and kind of strange routines, and there is the strange peculiar routines which usually revolve around our special interests, so just every day I spend hours and hours and hours analyzing, revising geopolitics. But doing that in the parallel self, I work science, technology, physics, mathematics. Science, technology, physics, mathematics. Science, technology, physics, mathematics. That's my special interest. And I build satellites, constellation of satellites, supercomputers, ICBM rockets, microchips, coding, everything to do with technology, science, in that parallel life. Public-private partnership mostly for defense, security services. I'm calling now to be for the public-private partnership for security service and defense, based on my philosophies and initiatives and philosophies such as the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. How do we invest in the body? By working out, training, and exercising. By working out, training, and exercising. By working out, training, and exercising. And it seems that the trade war is escalating now. It's tit for tat and ongoing tariffs. And of course, there's been some reprieve until April 2nd, but only on from my understanding, 44% only. So it's less than half. From my understanding, 44%. Got to revise the numbers, but it's almost half, let's say, of the tariffs of 25% are not going to be on all goods, and there's going to be only on some goods. The United States, Canada, and of course have been and will challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, as have been. And I got in that backpack, which is on my back now. I got those gloves, which were gifted by my anonymous friend, and auctioning those gloves for $1 million. They've been worn out because I used them, but I still can use them probably against Donald Trump on the Canadian-US border. Let's make it the first match. Inauguration, Dragon versus Trump. That would be the first event, Dragon versus Trump. Well, we built and inaugurate this massive, 11 times bigger than any existing NFL stadium. Let's build it 11 times bigger than any NFL stadium. Let's build it together 11 times bigger than any NFL stadium on the Canadian-US border. With sports and fitness, 24/7 sports and fitness events, and of course from the high schools, from the universities, dancing and fitness and sports, dancing and fitness and sports, dancing and fitness and sports, 24/7 dancing and fitness and sports, dancing, fitness and sports for this mega structure. It's going to build on the mega structure to build it 11 times bigger than any NFL stadium. That is just the dream, the dream, part of the dream of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, which my dream is fundamentally a call for a public-private partnership across the North American Collective. A public-private partnership across the North American Collective, a public-private partnership across the North American Collective, across the North American Civilizational Complex, a public-private partnership across and for the North American Civilizational Complex, of which we are part of. This Quebecer Canadian North American was born 3 times, once as a woman, twice as a man, in the United States Army, served in the same United States Armed Forces twice, 2 different wars, 156 years apart. The wars were same army, 2 different wars served. And right now, calling all willingly loving, pledge your allegiance. Look at the moon and pledge your allegiance. Look at the moon and pledge your allegiance. Heading towards the sun, then we're gonna back it up, go towards the moon, and rock and roll through my city, Montreal Hawk Islanders. I'm going to freestyle this rock and roll on this Monday where it seems to be beginning of a stock market crash, at least North America. Again, due to the parallel of the tariffs, I believe it was a big mistake, and I believe my projects, initiatives, philosophies, my holy trinity of theories, the CIT citizen integration theory, the DRT debt fusion theory, and the democratic fusion theory for the creation of two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions. Canada joined the United States only and solely for security, service, and defense. Only and solely for security, service, and defense. Only and solely for security, service, and defense for the 21st century. That's beautiful lights there. Thank you, Hydro-Quebec workers of the past, present for the electricity. Gotta salute so much work and labor. You know, civilization is a privilege. That was my thesis back in 2023, called The Privilege of Civilization. The privilege of civilization, to have electricity, you know. To have electricity. To have all the running water, electricity, all the things which we have, the railways, the public transport, the subway, metro system underneath the ground, the hydroelectric dams here, our electricity does not pollute. It's clean, zero pollution, and we need to build more dams. I believe we don't need the border. Best to invest in security, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, in the ports and the airports. Best to focus the security defense apparatus with the financial or human resources on the ports and the airports, on the ports and the airports, on the airports and the airports. That's the best which we need, you know, to focus on the ports and the airports, you know. So that's what we gotta do, you know, the ports and the airports, you know. The ports and the airports, you know. That's what we gotta be doing, focusing on the ports and the airports. Sam, like the name, like the man. The ports and the airports best, you know. That's what we gotta focus on. Focus on that. The ports and the airports. The ports and the airports best. You know, that's where the fentanyl comes in. That's where most of the crime operates, with the fentanyl and whatever are illegal, the cars and the weaponry, illegal weapons and all that. Coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Ports, airports best. We don't need the border. What we need is to do a great North American, Canada, US census to see everybody who's been living here since more than 5 years, let's say more than 7. And who hasn't left in the past, during the past 5 years, who has lived in North America, who hasn't left out of 6 months, unless it was for serving for the military or whatever the case, special cases like that. But to make a great census, see everybody, the population, and issue a new card and a new passport and a little amnesty to put the workers to build those 44 tunnels, to construct those 44 tunnels, to build and construct those 44 tunnels, along with a lot of the incarcerated population, and construct those 44 tunnels. The number after 43 before 45 is 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, and modeled those tunnels by the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. The Cheyenne Mountain Complex, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and the Montreal Underground Village, in case of a thermonuclear war, to build 44 across North America. Massive public-private partnership via the implementation of my DRT. The debt fusion theory is the only solution, or something which resembles my debt fusion theory is the solution, as I look at the beautiful blue sky for that sunset. And it's a paradox, because, you know, the curse of Asperger's makes me today, even I'm financially stressed, but I got food at home. I made a little bit of an apple crumble, made a little bit of apple crumble with some apples. It wasn't the best, but it's okay, passable, edible. Not the it's so it's so I'm gonna say, be honest. As Aspies, we have this thing about like being sometimes direct or rude, seemingly rude, abrasive, or direct or offensive, but it's not because we mean to, you know. It's just Asperger's, where I'll give you an example. So for example, me as an Aspie, because I'm also an individual Aspie, well, we're gonna be a bit weird on the social side. So if somebody asks how are you, we're gonna actually say, if we're not that good, you know, we're gonna say, like I know this often, and with my friends says, well, you don't have to share that. And I said, and then she says, because you're an Aspie, you have to understand. And I'm working on the characteristics, because, you know, people are supposed to, I'm good, you know, how are you, I'm good. But most of Aspies would, you ask an Aspie, the Aspie's probably gonna say exactly how he feels or whatever the thing is going through. Like, you know, I say, I'm financially stressed, or I'm sore, you know. You wouldn't, like, because you're expected is just a way to communicate. But myself, I usually say, "How are you?" I say, I'm so sore, financially stressed, or that's what I ask for that. So being financially stressed, and that's what I gotta get doing with that. So, or whatever the case may be, which I say, when asked, "How are you?" So that's just an Asperger's, So that's what it is, an Asperger's thing, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing that rock and roll, So it's something which we gotta get doing on the XYZ, and that's how we gotta get doing on the doers, So it's something which we gotta be implementing on the debt refusion theory as we do now. The debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange, is what's needed to be at this point in time, as we got an emergency. And today, of course, the stock market got routed with the stock market being in the red. Most of the stock market was deep, even lost like 2.44%, the Dow, the New York Stock Exchange. So maybe tomorrow is going to be even worse, and it's going to be the March crash before the full moon Friday. Maybe by Friday it's going to be down 11%. Imagine. Stock market crash, man. It's a possibility of a black swan event on the horizon, but paradoxically, my theory or something similar, we have to implement something similar across both Canada and the United States, because we're both kind of in the same boat, So that's all we gotta get doing with that, and that's all we gotta get on the implementation now as I go towards the sky, and check on that beautiful light there. Beautiful light, Something which we gotta be implementing, and something which we gotta be doing, The debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE. As I cross this bridge now, looking at that beautiful red sunset, who's red and rising, red and setting. Red and rising, red and setting, and red and rising, red and setting, and I feel good. I already feel good. When I work out, sometimes it takes a few minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I start feeling so good. And again, as I cross this bridge, I encourage you all to work out, train, and exercise. And working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. I got to average Monday to Friday 4 hours average, so 5 days. So from Monday to Friday, I gotta do a minimum of 20 hours of marching, and I have been doing it for years and years and years. So last year was a bit below my average. Get out of the way, be careful with the stop, and somebody gotta sing that rock and roll for the boys and girls in blue. Ain't nobody perfect, that includes that me and you. That's a rock and roll song I wrote for the boys and girls in blue, are men and women in uniform, or 50-50s like myself, androgynous. We gotta get some Dragon Army, Citizen 911 new protocols, because 911 is 911, 911 is for both Canada and the USA. When you call 911, it's both Canada and the US, and I don't like violence, and I ought to be here. The government of Canada has something which was nice, from the Minister of Public Security. It's called the wave of peace, or the peace wave. The wave of peace, which is kind of cool. And it says that we got to make our streets safe again, and of bullying and intimidation and violence, and for the youth to channel their aggression and to be able to play, to be able to play. See, one's going north, one's going south as I cross the bridge. And then they're also human beings, They're also human beings, and they're also our boys and girls in blue. Somebody gotta sing for our boys and girls in blue. Ain't nobody perfect. That includes me and you. Ain't nobody perfect. That includes me and you. Ain't nobody perfect. That includes me and you. And we gotta rebuild the North American collective. Gotta rebuild the North American collective, and we gotta also mass invest in the building of the North American, North American, Gonna build a North American collective, and the inner urban cities of North America, the ghettos of the North America. We gotta rebuild it, man, and gotta sign an executive for that, Mr. President, for the rebuilding of the ghettos here in Canada. I know neighborhood where I used to do for years and years and years laundry. there's a big building there which is full of graffiti and it's no longer safe, no longer in use, and that needs to be rebuilt. And there's that neighborhood to be invested in, where I used to live in my own neighborhood also. And I remember I got it's RA, retrograde amnesia. I have like memory loss, and it's tough for me I can't access my blackouts of memory of my life prior to moving to where I live now. I left a very moldy place. I got full of scars on my body. I got flashes of trauma and unspeakable trauma and deeds committed, violence against me. I'm not gonna go to details, just flashes. And I got plenty of scars, including on my little androgynous dick clit, genitalia, who goddess, GODD says bless, sometimes goes rocket a few times a day. Got that 50-50 man, woman, androgynous, whatever. Part of the LGBTQ community as well. I got scars on my face, on my body, all over the body, plenty of scars. What looks from wounds, I survived a lot of trauma and violence. So I don't like violence, but force sometimes is necessary. But Donald Trump, you can't do it with Canadians, like to call to invite us for the 51st state in that way. It would have been best, to say, hey, join us as the 51st state. We're gonna throw the biggest party ever. Gonna have some singing across the 50 states, some of that marching bands, some of those cheerleading with the pom-poms, and sing some songs for the invitation. That's not a way to invite. Become the 51st state, cherished and loved 51st state, by tires, by bullying. Knock you out with the left, with the right, 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 with the left, with the left. Dragon versus Trump. That's not the way. Some LOVE, some of that good loving, man. Loving by action also, It's not all about money and Wall Street. If there would be an invasion by whatever army, China, Russia, whatever army would invade the United States, I would run to join to defend my brothers and sisters in the USA. Sending some love for the state, South Carolina, North Carolina, those who were hit last week by storms, and now there's some fire going on in New Jersey or somewhere close by New York State, sending some big loving out to them, and call for the Dragon Army, Public-Private Partnership, Canada, joint US. Yeah, we need to get rid of the border. We need to create a common passport, common currency, and my DRT best. And the new 911 protocols to be for security, service, and defense. Security, service, and defense. Security, service, and defense. I'm going to play that defense like the hardball ball when my 49ers lost. With, please, NFL National Football League, NHL National Hockey League, NBA National Basketball Association, MLB. Please reduce the tickets by 44.9%. 44.9% is my estimated calculation for the price of the tickets that need to be reduced for the majority of the population to be able to getting on that afford. To be able to afford it, So that's what it needs to be done. That's what it needs to be doing, and that's where it needs to be on the go for the doing, So it's something which we gotta be implementing, and something which we gotta be doing together. It's big brother, little brother, big brother, little brother, big brother, little brother, big brother, little brother, little sister, big sister, big sister, little sister, big sister, little sister, like a family, like a family, Canada, US. And in a way, we're gonna fuse the North and the South, because here we're the true North, strong and free, but it's not enough. The true North, strong and free is not enough. Gotta add some LOV in that, just like my brothers and sisters in the 50 states, the land of the free and the home of the brave. But that ain't enough, To be free and brave. Maybe for some it is. Not for me. Gotta add some LOVE. Add some LOVE. Add some love, man. It's not all about money. It's not all about Wall Street. I like to do business. I like prosperity, and I like to eat good cheeseburgers and hamburgers. I would actually, if I could afford it, I would eat every day. Probably every day I would have fast food. But I'm on the budget, and I spend my paid my electricity bill, paid my rent, paid my phone, and I got some wafers at home. I got my homemade. I made an apple crumble, with apples. So that's what it is, and and that's what it is with that. And I gotta get for the I don't know what the child said, but and I want to publish my children's books, which most of my children's books didn't have $500 for a literary agent, but most of my children's books revolve around nature and civilization, like firefighters, public works, and a little bit of fitness and dance integrated in my books, a little bit of movement, and a little bit of humor, and kind of about the flora and the fauna and civilization, mostly the themes, and such themes are in my books. I've written a few, and whatever, family and new families, because all who pledge legions are my family, and Quebecers are my family, Canadians are my family, so that's what I see when I walk now. I see people there, and I consider them like my extended family here, because I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North America. This is my home, and that's it, that's all. And anybody who wills to be my family is my family, and we're the Collectif. Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance calling for the Dragon Army. Public-private partnership. Fundamentally, my Dragon Army initiatives is a call for the establishment of a 21st century institution solely for defense security service, and of course to build those 44 tunnels, to construct, rebuild for fitness. I created a workout training program system back in 2019 before, when I died of COVID, because I'm celebrating now. This is a march for celebrating. Celebrating. Every time I march more than 4 hours is a victory celebration for me, and often I go to the mountain, my second home. Not today mountain, I guess. Today's Monday, so we're gonna go tomorrow, whatever the case may be, and we go a few times a week with that. So sometimes I just gotta zigzag it, and I went Friday, and okay, so I said Monday, whatever the case may be, I can go to the mountain often, which is my second home, Mount Royal Belvedere, the headquarters of the Dancing Goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, which is my dream fundamentally for a call for a public-private partnership. My dream fundamentally for a public-private partnership across the North American Collective, and that's what it is with that. And here I used to do a lot of volunteering in the old arena. The old arena here was torn down a few years ago during COVID, and now it's being built some new. So new investment, I believe about 16 million, and my will to build the the Forgotten Goddess GODDESS temple, or alternative name for the Forgotten Goddess temple, the temple of the goddess of a million, a billion, a trillion names, and the North American People's Imperial Coliseum. The North American Imperial People's Coliseum. The North American People's Imperial Coliseum. The North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border. To have for sports and fitness, and the Rainbow People's Palace for my fellow LGBTQ community, and the Pyramid, House of the Dragon. The House of the Dragon, House of the Dragon, House of the Dragon. Pyramid, scarlet red, crimson, and scarlet are shades of red, and this is going good. Can't wait for it to be finished. It's going to be finished soon. So it's a nice advancement here. All the construction workers, we're going to see when they get finished. But I got to salute the construction workers. I always meditate a little bit because I know a little bit of fundamentals of construction. But although more technical aspects, I know my geopolitics. And I predicted what's happening now in a general manner in 2019, because I am an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist. Sports and fitness, and created a parallel. My sports and fitness, I created a workout training program system. See, that says in French, 10 million invested for vous, invested for you. Government of Quebec. So can't wait. I did in the old arena. I did a few years. I did a lot of volunteering, and it was torn down, and now it's being new one rebuilt. So that's 10 million invested. And this one says, construction of a sports and recreation center. Construction of a sports and recreation center. Construction of a sports and recreation. 6.2 million. So I guess you gotta add the federal and the provincial. The federal and the provincial. So adding the federal and the provincial would give you about 16 million. So let's build together the North American on the Canadian-US border, the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, for the fusion of the North, Canada, true North, strong and free, and the South, brothers and sisters in the USA. I don't know about that 51st state. My dream is fundamentally Canada-US based, joint, strong, public-private partnership and integration, security, service, coast-to-coast, ocean-to-ocean, and a rebirth, because we got a lot of work to do rebuilding our infrastructure. The DRT best. I'm going to get into the DRT, debt refusion theory, because of course we are arrived at a point today now, because the stock market has crashed. Could it be, or question mark, is it the beginning of a stock market crash today? I would say 50-50 probability. It looked like it to me. It looks more on the 51 plus than 50. So more than 50-50. 51st state. Invite us properly. Say I did a mistake. What was I thinking? I should have thrown. I say I'm going to throw the big. Trump say I'm going to throw the biggest party ever across the 50 states. I'm going to reduce the tickets. I'm going to mass finance Canadians to come visit the 50 states. Give incentives, you know. Some LOV, and that's not the way by bullying and tariffs, but it should have been proper invitation, you know. That would have been more likely. So I would have done it, you know. And my dream is a fusion of parallel something, but North American centric, but similar to what the European Union with a common passport, common currency, common defense. The DRT theory now, debt refusion theory. So the DRT, my brothers and sisters, why do I make the motive that I make the statement that it is the only solution, or something similar to my DRT is the only solution? So DRT stands for debt refusion theory. The DRT stands for debt refusion theory. The DRT stands for debt refusion, or refusion T theory. The debt refusion theory also includes in it monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is included in my debt refusion theory. Monetary integration theory is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. Monetary integration theory was implemented in the European Union. So the monetary integration theory was implemented in the European Union. So we're going to take hold of public and the private debt. Again, I'm going to explain it. And again, the motive that I say that my debt refusion theory, the DRT, is the only solution. After we make the statement, clarify, and my statement is due to the fact, and this is the fact, you can check the numbers which I'm going to concur and share with the Bank of Canada governor, my uncle Tiff Macklin of Governor of the Bank of Canada, and with the Federal Reserve in many ways. So last year in 2024, the amount of interest only which we paid on the public debt of Canada was 46.5 billion. 46.5 billion is the equivalent of 46,000 million, because a billion has 9 zeros. 1 billion is not 100 million. A billion is 1,000. A billion has 9 zeros. 9 zeros a billion has. So that's 1,000 million. So last year we paid an incredible amount of interest. The debt servicing was enormous. Debt servicing is just a more technical financial term to say the interest paid on the public debt. The interest paid. 46.5 billion. Okay, billion. And the number 3 years before, the fiscal year 2020-2021, the number was 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion. 20.3 billion. That's 20,000 million. 20,300 million. 20,300 million. 20,300 million. 20,300 million. 20,300 million. 20.3 in 3 years, it more than doubled to 46.5, because double 20.3 would have been 40.6, right? 20.3 times 2 is 40.6. 40.6. That's what it is. So it more than doubled. Yes, due to COVID. Yes, due to COVID. Yes, due to COVID. Yes, due to COVID, you know. COVID made it so. COVID made it so. So COVID made it so. Yes, COVID made it so, but nonetheless, if it more than doubled, just the interest paid on the public debt, so only the interest, then of course it's a problem. Just make a parallel as an individual citizen whose interest payments would have doubled on the credit cards. Myself, I don't have credit cards. I have a credit line. I have a credit line, which I have about, it's a bit less now because it was lowered, thank goddess, by Tiff Macklin about 22 days ago or so estimated time. So now I'm paying a bit less than 11%. So that's what it is with that. So that is due to that fact. That is due to that fact. So that's the fact. So it more than doubled. To the interest payment. So if an individual interest payment is double, then if the interest payments double, an individual, how many salary, the individual citizens whose interest payments double, then the individual has to get more salary. The salary also has to double. How many salaries have doubled? I don't know a lot of salaries which doubled. Do you know so many salaries which doubled? I don't know many which doubled. I don't know many. Sometimes, of course, the average salary increase from between 2020 and 2025 in 5 years was 4.4%. Some have increased by 5%, 10%, 15%. But do you know of any which salaries have doubled in the past 5 years since 2020? I don't know many. Sure, some people have become millionaires. Some people lost their millions, made millions. I'm financially stressed, got $10,000 myself as a citizen, $10,000 in debt. But I paid my rent. My rent's paid for the month of March. Today's Monday the 10th. Paid my electricity bill to Hydro-Quebec and paid my phone and got food, got coffee. And back when I hit back home after this marching, workout, meditation, rock and roll challenge to Donald Trump, I'm going to get a little bit of that feasting with that apple crumble. Made a homemade apple crumble. Canada, US apples. Canada, US apples. Some apples were Canadian. I bought 50-50. Some were United States. So the point is that a citizen whose interest payments double has to reduce the spending. You have to cut the budget. You have to cut. The same principle applies with the public finances of Canada. Because our GDP didn't double. You get it? Our GDP didn't double. Our gross domestic product only increased. Sometimes it decreased. And in November it went a little bit in the negative. But it takes usually decades for a whole GDP to double. It took by more than 44 years for the GDP of Canada to double since 1980, right? Since 1980 to now, almost 45. We're gonna be like in 45 years it doubled, almost 45, right? So it takes decades for a country's GDP to double, but the interest payments doubled. Yes. Due to COVID, though, we had to implement programs for sustaining the population in that emergency situation. Absolutely. COVID made it so. But nonetheless, even if COVID made it so, the point and the fact remains that the interest payments have, just the interest, the debt servicing has more than doubled. While the GDP of Canada has not, only increased by 1%, 2%, only a few percentage. So exactly as an individual has to reduce the spending, the individual citizen will have to buy less bacon, buy less cheese, whatever the case may be, buy less of whatever the case may be. Just as an individual has to do that, so has to happen with the Canadian public debt. Here's my bank where I'm in the minus. I'm not going to go check, but that's what it is with that. Anyway, so an individual has to reduce the spending. An individual whose interest double in 3 years, if the salary doesn't double and not a lot of salaries double, has to go out less, buy less wine, stop smoking. If I don't smoke cigarettes myself, but cigarettes are kind of expensive, so don't buy cheese anymore, don't buy bacon, don't go out to movies, don't go out to have a drink. All that has to reduce by a lot if the interest payments double, If the interest payments double, that's what has to happen. Has to be reduced, The spending has to be reduced. It cannot be sustained, That's exactly what has to happen. the interest payments have to be reduced by because of the interest payments growing so much, the spending has to be reduced. So that's exactly the same principle applies with the public finances. The public finances. Also, what are we gonna cut? What are we gonna reduce? The firefighters, the police, RCMP, the Mounties, the prisons, the correctional facility, the public works, the healthcare. You realize there's a public black swan for the public finances and many of the private, both the private and the public, because there's record debt. There's no other way out of where we are now. I know you want to argue and take partisan, and myself being a pro-labor and love revolutionary centrist, where we are now today, March 2025, for a lot of the US situation, both US, Canada. That's why we have to implement my DRT, the debt refusion theory, via public-private partnership, via a 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 public-private partnership, and it has to be implemented. We have to do a great North American audit, 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 a great North American audit. See all the production, all the economy, all the production, a great North American audit. The DRT is the only solution, or something very, very, very similar to my DRT, the debt refusion theory, is the solution. There's no other way out of this. You realize with the numbers I have given you, and those you can check by yourself, and also the public debt of the United States is in the trillions, also. So double check with Canada. We paid last year 46.5 billion in interest, only interest on the public debt. The DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of a new currency, Canada joined US, the UE, the universal exchange is the only solution, or something very similar to it. There's no other way. There's no other way, brothers and sisters. It's an emergency. I'm being a pro-labor and love universal revolutionary centrist. My centrism is revolutionary universal, but it's North American centric. It's tied hand in hand with my trinity of theories. The DRT, debt refusion theory, the CIT, citizen integration theory, and the DFT, democratic fusion theory. The democratic fusion theory. So that's what it is. We have to implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit. That's what we have to do, and I'm going to go hydrate a bit here in this new construction. But again, you got to argue all you want, but that is the only solution as we are now for the DRT, the debt refusion theory. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to implement it. I'm going to explain it more deeply and in fully, but pretty much the gist of it is that. Time is it now? 7:52. So the debt refusion theory, that is the only solution as we go to get XYZ, you know. That's what we got to be doing, man. That's all we got to get doing with that. So imagine just to have water here, to get it on the drinking side, we got to get that XYZ and get some salutations to the public workers. You know, imagine all the labor underneath to lay those pipes for us to have drinking water here. It's quite an amazing engineering feature, eh? Quite something if you think about it. Just gonna hydrate a bit and hydrate. Anyways, So that's what we gotta go do. That's what we gotta go do with that, So it's XYZ for the XYZ, and then we go on the XYZ LOV and loving, So that's what we gotta get in the XYZ, And the DRT has to be explained, It has to be explained. And that's what we gotta get doing under love, So something which we gotta do. Again, there's no way out of this, The DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit, That's what we gotta get doing with that, So it's something which we gotta get doing XYZ and gotta get it on the do, So the DRT, debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange unit. That's what we gotta be implementing, Something which we gotta be really, really starting today with me as the stock market crash, unraveled right now, man. Sometimes which we gotta be doing now, the unraveling of the stock market crash could happen now, So that's what we gotta get doing now, man. It's an emergency, So that's what we gotta get doing, The emergency situation for where we are now. There's no way out of this, There's no way out of this. There's no way out of it. You can argue all you want, Takes a joint public-private partnership, being a democratic Republican myself. 50-50, sometimes more than 50, like on whether the stock market crashing, I'm about more than 51%, so I guess I'm on the majority. If I were to take a vote, I would vote the stock market began crashing today. I could be wrong. I wasn't wrong in 2019 about an international conflagration, but I might be wrong about, because stock market and finance is not my main expertise. My main expertise is actually my main one is geopolitics. Although there's correlation and integration and relationships and in between the two, but it's mostly geopolitics. But of course you have to study and know a little bit of finance and stock market, because it's part of geopolitical world. The stock market, business, private, public, it's all geopolitics, part of geopolitics, but meaning that my expertise is geopolitics fundamentally. The interplay between diplomatic, political relations, which include diplomacy, military affairs, and business deals. And the stock market is part of it, because if there's a stock market crash, there's a big geopolitical event also. It's mostly a financial, economic, commercial one, mostly commercial, financial, economic, but it's also a geopolitical one. So it's also geopolitics in many regards. As we go now, we march towards the sun earlier, and now we march towards the moon. So the debt refusion theory I'm going to explain more in depth now, because I really have to explain it fully more in depth. As, we are at a point in time where I gotta be implementing, and there was some fruit there. I'm going to leave it for somebody else. Some people get the fruit there from the corner, and sometimes it's left for others because it's not to be wasted, so that's always interesting. But I got my apple crumble I don't need, but I just saw, and I was thinking maybe to go check it out to get on the XYZ, so that's what we gotta get doing with that, So the DRT, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, So I used to do laundry right there. I used to do laundry right there for years and years and years. I used to spend money. There's the laundromat right there. I used to do lots of laundromats right there for a few years. Right there. And I'll definitely invest, here I would invest in the building. They're making a community center, spa with maybe a pool, maybe a boxing, to have a little boxing arena, a sports arena, with some of that good boxing bag for sparring and for sports fitness, Definitely needs a lot of investment, and we got to rebuild, by my debt refusion theory, we're going to be able to rebuild the North American ghettos. We're going to be able to rebuild the North American ghettos by the DRT theory. We're going to be able to rebuild the North American ghettos, which we must invest, So the debt refusion theory, my brothers and sisters, you can argue all you want, but there's no way out of this, There's no way out of this. There's no way out of this, No way. The interest doubled. Payments on the public debt. So it's possible now the stock market which has to do mostly not all with the private, because there's a lot of public investments in the stock market, but mostly it's more than 2/3 is private, right? But there's also for seniors, for retirement, people who invest, and mortgage is tied in also with the public, in the public sphere, public-private partnership, the stock market, right? So there's possible today the stock market began, and tomorrow or Wednesday the 12th or by the full moon that the public finances of Canada, there's a collapse, what we call a black swan event for the public finances of Canada. Is a possibility of a black swan event, not only with the stock market, because it refers to a bad financial omen, but also with the public, because like I said, the interest which we paid last year was more than double what it was in 2020, 2021. So it's not sustainable. We have to reduce, we have to cut. And what I saw a few weeks ago, that of course in the public, Canada, public of Canada, in the public affair of Canada, we gotta go get it. We gotta go in the public affairs of Canada, in the public affairs of Canada. Of course, it's a possibility of a black swan event. Possibility is a black swan event. So, meaning that it's possible that the public financial collapse of Canada could start tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, on the 12th, when I go check my optometrist, my eyes are the optometrist. On the full moon, 14th, full moon weekend coming. Friday, for the weekend. Black Swan event, breaking news, the collapse of the public finances of Canada. But yeah, the interest payments, the GDP has not doubled. So I'm going to explain the debt refusion theory, the solution, because this is the solution. So and my DRT theory includes monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is, of course, the financial theory. The financial theory which was implemented. Monetary integration theory was the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. So in the European Union, back in the 90s, the Europeans, the Germans, the French, the Italians, they destroyed their national central banks. 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 Their national central banks. They destroyed their national central banks. So they destroyed their national central banks. They destroyed their national central banks. And they created new currencies. They destroyed their own national central banks and they created a new currency. The euro. So now they have the ECB, the European Central Bank. They have the European Central Bank, the ECB, the European Central Bank, which of course is a central bank for the whole European community, So being that it is a central bank for the whole European community, that's what it is with that. And that's what we gotta get doing, The Europeans implemented the monetary integration theory. So we're gonna implement in my DRT, debt refusion theory. In my debt refusion theory is integrated monetary integration theory. So that's what you have to remember and know. In my debt refusion theory is integrated monetary integration theory, which is the financial theory, which was implemented in the European Union. So that's what we gotta do. We gotta implement my debt refusion theory. So we're gonna take all the public-private debt, including myself as a citizen. I got $10,000 in debt. $10,000. I got $10,000. My debt is about $10,000. So we're gonna take all the public-private debt, including my $10,000. Yours, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. All that money, all the public-private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollar, the Canadian public-private debt. And my DRT theory, best if we implemented Canada joint in Canada first, but preferably first and foremost Canada US simultaneously, just like they did in the European Union. Canada US, just like they did in the European Union. Canada US, just like they did in the European Union. Preferably simultaneously, both Canada US. So all the debt, Canadian public-private debt, converted into US dollars, added with the United States. All that money is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. For a new central bank is going to be the initial money supply for a new central bank. The initial money supply for a new central bank. All the public and the private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, including my $10,000, all yours, coast to coast. All the debt is going to be in the trends added with the United States. All that money will be the initial money supply plus the money circulation for the creation of a new central bank. And to issue, we're going to issue a new currency called the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. U dot E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE. U dot E dot exchange unit. The UE. The U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange is going to have the value of the US dollar. We're going to put an interest rate level of 10%. It could be 3.33, 7.18, 6.1, 4.18, 1.56, whatever the case may be. Below 10. With all that money, we're going to be rebuilding the infrastructure of the North American Collective, including the North American ghettos, rebuilding, building construction, those 44 tunnels for the continuity of the North American civilizational complex in case of a thermonuclear war. We're going to be mass finance citizens to work out, train, exercise. We're going to mass finance citizens to work out, to train, to exercise. We're going to mass finance the construction, rebuilding of the infrastructure, building more dams, hydroelectric dams here in Quebec, go, Hydro Quebec, go. Mass finance citizens, tourism across North American Collective, because when I crossed Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean in 2017, that got me out of being depressed and suicidal back then. That was an event in my life which completely changed my life, crossing Canada coast to coast. Well, that got me out of being depressed and suicidal, and back then, of course, I was depressed, I was suicidal. Crossing Canada coast to coast made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. Made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. Strong esprit de corps, and now my family, Quebecers, Canadians, North Americans. We're north, you're south, my brothers and sisters in the USA. When y'all God bless, I got a goddess with that goddess kisses, being also a mystic. But the debt refusion theory we have to implement. We have to create the universal exchange unit, and you can argue all you want, but it's the solution. It's the only solution, or something very, very similar to my debt refusion theory is the solution. But with all that money, we're going to be able to do lots of good across North America. And even build, we want in on that Golden Dome, and implement my Operation Northern Scorpion. Implement Operation Northern Scorpion based on my total mobile defense theory system. Total mobile defense theory system, or total T for total, M for mobile, D for defense, total mobile defense theory, or total mobile defense theory system. Sometimes acronyms for, depending on the context, but I'm not going to discuss much of it because it's matters of national security, and it's being a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, you got to study and warfare, and I don't remember, but I have from Kingston. I wanted to go in 2003 to Kingston Military University, but I have good references. It's just that my memory kind of have like those blackouts of memory, and of early life, early adolescence, early childhood is just a little bit of a memory with that, so that's what we got to get doing with that. So here we got some fitness. So the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UEDRT debt refusion theory. That's what we got to get doing on that. And here we got a little bit of construction workers, and I wish I could give my anonymous friend a house, buy a house, and if I make $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, gonna give 50% half. Gonna give 50% half. $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion, gonna give 50% half, and money is to buy, sell, so that's what it is with that. And That's what we gotta get doing on the LOV, and there we got a little bit of that moon, moon. So we gotta be implementing on that, and sometimes we gotta get on the LOV, so gotta get it on the love, and the moon's clear, God is blessed, and we're gonna build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border. The North American People's Imperial Coliseum, the Coliseum for 11 times bigger than the greatest NFL stadium, and the forgotten goddess, G-O-D-D-E-S-S, goddess of many names, temple, and the pyramid, scarlet, crimson, scarlet, red, the house of the dragon, and whatever else we're going to be doing with that. We're going to be building the Rainbow People's Palace. That's what we're going to be doing, and that's what we're going to be doing with that to get it on the go, and that's how we got to get doing, it's something which we got to be implementing, for the lovers, for the butchers, the bakers, the truckers, all those involved, in the production, distribution of food. Gotta be LOV for them. Truckers, nurses, doctors, firefighters. My debt refusion theory is the way to go. Or something similar to my debt refusion theory, which has to be implemented across the North American Collective. Is no arguing, where the numbers, you can check the numbers for yourself, and mathematical financial principle where you're gonna have to reduce it, because that amount of interest which we paid last year, now it started to hit, and it seems that there's been thousands of jobs layoffs from the public institution, the Immigration Canada, and it seems that there's been, I believe there's a correlation with the fact that we paid so much interest last year, and because it's not sustainable. So that's where the problem lies now. It's no longer sustainable. So the fact that it's no longer sustainable, we have to reduce the spending. Because the GDP has not doubled, right? So due to the fact that the GDP has not doubled, only increased by a few percentages, that's just the mathematical financial principles of finance requires that there's going to be spending less, so cutting the budget, in other words. Just like an individual whose interest payments double in 3 years, imagine it goes from 156 to 333. Imagine it goes from 156 to 333. Imagine if it goes from 156 to 333, then that citizen individual has to reduce the spending. There's just mathematical financial principles which underlie what I've just said. The fact that the DRT theory, the debt refusion theory, is fundamentally, or something very similar which resembles my DRT theory. So I'm not going to say that my theory is the only solution, but something fundamentally which resembles the principles of my DRT, debt refusion theory, which also includes monetary integration theory, which I just discussed now, and which of course I am calling for the implementation via public-private partnership, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. Pledge your allegiance to our family, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, to fundamentally create two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, aka North American Collective, Defense, Security and Service Force, only for defense, security, service, only for defense, security and service, and the Dancing Goddess Army, DGA, to dance for the environment, for pleasure and purpose, to dance, the DGA, North American Integrated Dance League, the DGA, the North American Integrated Dance League, to dance for the environment, to plant more trees, do environmental education and action, do environmental education and action, do environmental education and action, to plant more trees, to clean the oceans, the rivers, because we got a lot of that 50-50 environmental work to do, and we got a lot of business to do, and we got sometimes to meet in the middle with a compromise and alternative courses of action, and planting trees is the way to go, planting trees and cleaning the existing pollutants which are in the forests. Especially me, I've been doing volunteering for years, cleaning atop the mountain, and cleaning there, several organized events or unorganized, or myself by my own initiative, as I do on my second home, Mile World, the mountain. Gotta salute the firefighters, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the grocery store clerks, all involved in the production, distribution of food, as I go now parallel, a little bit of a semi-wilderness, semi-towards the parallel to the highways. Gonna salute some truckers on the road with the eggs, the goods, truckers with the goods, those warehouse workers unloading, the dock workers. Gonna sing some of that good rock and roll for them, and then switch it to a little bit of that French later on, or switch it to that French now, and then do a little bit of rock and roll trance. Okay, we're gonna do that. So again, gonna sing my gratitude, grateful, thankful, my rent's paid, electricity bills paid, pledge your allegiance, dollar family, as I go on the steps now, doing some of that good recreational marching, workout, training, exercising. I encourage all to do, and it is my medicine and therapy of choice. Have been, am, and will continue to encourage all to fitness, and by the implementation of my dedie, debt refusion here, we're going to be able to mass finance citizens for fitness. And now I'm joyous, you know. I'm joyous, but just financially stressed. financially stressed. And see, we got all the highways which we built, meditate on all the highways, all the trucks now, the railways, all going Canada-US joint across this great collective. We got to get that coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and we're a new collective civilizational complex. You know, we are a new emergent civilizational complex. I got to salute the firefighters. Please, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, please donate the tickets. Give some tickets for citizens to go see the sports. Sometimes it's costly, and please reduce the cost of the tickets. NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, by 44%. I love also the PVHL, Go Professional Women's Hockey League. I wish I could afford to take some tickets. I will. First expense is going to be Montreal Victoire, you know. First expense is going to be Montreal Victoire, you know. That's going to be my first expense, you know. Montreal Victoire. So that's what it is for the dancing. Dancing is my favorite sport, you know. I love to dance, and gonna do a lot of dancing, you know, and I can dance for hours, you know. Get that rainbow dragon priestess of the goddess, rainbow dragon priestess of the goddess, rainbow dragon priestess of the goddess. So that's for the truckers there going on the road, truckers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and see there's railroads, and we got some of those railroads, the train conductors. You imagine how much pipes they lay to lay on the pipes with the steel and the metal across the North American collective. North Americans Unite, gonna fuse Canada, United States. The dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is fundamentally a call for the North American collective. Pledge your legions to our family. Let's create the dragon army. And that DGA, complementary covenant and cooperative dancing goddess army with the dragon army for one 21st century new world order. French cause we la belle province. Et voilà, à la marche le dragon arc-en-ciel. Je vous encourage à l'entraînement physique québécois et québécoise. La gratitude, je commence en regardant mon l'ombre. Aujourd'hui il fait pas si frette. On est lundi. Puis je chante, puis que la lune s'en vient, qu'elle devienne pleine bientôt. Vendredi, c'est la pleine lune pour le sabbat. Et je vous encourage à faire l'entraînement physique votre dragon arc-en-ciel du Québec et de la belle province de l'Amérique du Nord, même si je vis un stress financier en ce moment. Mon seul stress est financier. Je suis en crise financière. Je suis en crise financière, mais la crise financière que je vis, bien sûr, je dois quand même dire ma gratitude. Aujourd'hui, le 10 mars, j'ai payé mon loyer. Pour le mois de mars, j'ai payé mon loyer. J'ai payé ma facture d'électricité aussi. Go Hydro-Québec, go. J'ai payé mon cellulaire, mon téléphone intelligent mensuel. Je paye 25 $. Et donc, j'ai chez nous, je me suis fait ce qu'on appelle en anglais un apple crumble. Tu sais, c'est comme une tarte aux pommes. Tarte aux pommes, les pommes, ben, c'était du Canada puis des États-Unis ensemble. Fait que c'était comme ça, c'était comme ça. C'était pas la meilleure que j'ai eue, mais c'était quand même quelque chose que... Pas pire, je dirais pas pire, ça a bien sorti pas pire quand même. Fait que je dois quand même avoir la gratitude. Fait qu'après cette marche entraînement de plus que 4 heures aujourd'hui, je vise pour un minimum de 4 heures. Donc, ça va bien sortir pour ce minimum de 4 heures aujourd'hui. Je suis bien parti. Fait que je dois quand même faire une moyenne du lundi à vendredi en moyenne de 4 heures de marche. Ben, ça veut dire qu'en total, je dois faire plus que 20 heures parce que 20 divisé par 5, ça donne 4. Fait que la semaine passée, je n'avais pas sorti lundi, je me suis reposé. La semaine passée, le 3 mars, je me suis reposé, fait que j'avais fait 0. Fait que après ça, j'ai dû faire plus que 6 et plus que 7 2 fois, puis une fois 4, 5, une fois 6, fait que c'est rendu à plus que 20 pour me donner la moyenne que je fais. Bon. Ah, votre artiste, athlète, philosophe et mystique. Messieurs, madame, 50-50, votre philosophe qui a prévu la situation de géopolitique. Vous savez, j'ai l'Asperger, j'ai l'autisme monofonctionnel, puis j'ai qu'est-ce qu'on appelle des intérêts spéciaux. Fait que ces intérêts, pour moi-même, c'est la géopolitique, l'entraînement physique, le sport, mais le sport et l'entraînement physique que je préfère, c'est la danse. Même maintenant, je danse avec la tête, je bouge les orteils, les lèvres, les yeux, puis les sourcils. Fait que je danse, c'est mon sport préféré, j'adore danser. Puis le rock'n'roll, des fois je rentre dans des transes de rock'n'roll, je chante du rock'n'roll du Québec, puis du Québec, ben, du québécois, du français du Québec, puis bien sûr en anglais pas mal les deux. Mais... Fait que c'est ça mes intérêts obsessifs, mais c'est quand même quelque chose que dans certaines choses, j'ai de la misère, tu sais. Les Asperger, nous, les caractères, parce que c'est pas des symptômes. Symptômes, c'est pour une maladie, mais l'Asperger, c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste une condition de neurodivergence. Mais les gens pensent que c'est une maladie, tu sais, parce que c'est pas une maladie dans le sens du mot, parce que c'est juste notre cerveau, il est fait différemment. Fait que il y a des choses qu'on a de la misère à comprendre, fait qu'il faut nous le dire directement, il faut nous le dire directement, fais pas ça, ou ça, c'est, dans la société, c'est pas vraiment accepté, fais ci, puis ça, ça peut être difficile, fait que je dois quand même toujours bâtir des ponts. Je vous donne un exemple, là, les Aspergers, l'espace personnel, des fois, on a tendance de se rapprocher tellement proche de la personne avec qui on parle. Mettons, je vous parle, à vous, quelqu'un, en direct, puis je vais me rapprocher tellement proche de vous sans que vous le... Tu sais, puis vraiment proche, pas parce que vouloir l'intimidation et tout ça, c'est juste que ces choses-là, de l'espace personnel, de quand parler ou quand pas parler, ces choses-là, c'est plus difficile pour nous. C'est juste ça, c'est du travail constant qu'il faut que je fasse, du travail constant, parce que, tu sais, des fois, ils pensent qu'on peut être direct quand même, tu sais, on a cette tendance d'être direct dans des choses, tu sais, d'être direct, de ne pas avoir de filtre, là, des choses comme ça. Fait que ça peut offenser les gens. Et puis ils pensent un peu abrasif, un peu offensif, un peu, tu sais, de cette manière. Mais il faut nous le dire, puis c'est pas parce qu'on veut, là. C'est juste l'Asperger, l'autisme monofonctionnel, on a de la misère dans ces choses-là, mais on peut être bon dans d'autres choses, comme moi, dans le géopolitique, en étant analyste et théoricien indépendant en géopolitique. C'est ça que je fais au quotidien. Je passe des heures par jour. Aujourd'hui, j'ai fait mon lavage, puis j'ai passé plus que 6 heures à faire des analyses de la géopolitique. Puis bien sûr, ce qui nous concerne en tant que Québécois, Canadiens, Nord-Américains, c'est les tarifs, la guerre commerciale entre les États-Unis et le Canada. Tu sais, je ne suis pas un partisan de Trump en tout. Je soutiens une fusion du Canada et des États-Unis, quelque chose de parallèle à l'Union européenne, mais parce qu'on est nord-américain, on est un collectif émergent de civilisation nouveau, ici en Amérique, dans l'Amérique du Nord. Je dis souvent, je suis québécois, canadien, nord-américain aussi, mais nous, on est dans le nord, puis nos frères et sœurs aux États-Unis, sont dans le sud. Puis je sais pas du 50e État, c'est sûr que c'est une question comment on pourrait faire quoi que ce soit, mais c'est sûr que c'est pas la manière, comme je dis toujours, à Trump, c'est pas la manière de nous proposer de même, tu sais, nous proposer aux Québécois puis aux Canadiens, Québécois de devenir 50e État par du bullying, puis par des menaces, puis par des tarifs, par cette guerre commerciale, par de la force économique. C'est pas, il a dû nous inviter par l'amour économique, nous inviter à visiter à bas prix, à réduction, tu sais, à payer des motels, des hôtels, une semaine, 2 semaines, en passer une semaine, aux citoyens québécois, canadiens, aux citoyens du Canada puis du Québec, pour qu'on aille visiter, tu sais, les 50 États, de cette manière, donner des billets, financer du tourisme, tu sais, aujourd'hui, je vous donne aux citoyens un tourisme, venez voir, de cette manière, pourquoi ça tente de même, pas avec, tu sais, je veux dire, une bonne nous inviter bien comme il le faut, là. Invitez-nous bien comme il le faut pour le 50e État. Donald Trump, le président Trump qui nous invite comme il le faut, bien comme il le faut, Donald Trump. Il nous invite de quelle manière? Par nous imposer des tarifs? C'est pas comme ça qu'on va, tu sais, on va avoir pas une bonne invitation, la manière de nous inviter, je pense. Qu'il nous fasse une proposition par l'amour économique, pas par la force. Là. Moi-même, tu sais, je vis une crise financière moi-même, mais j'ai payé mon loyer, payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café, j'ai du thé, puis j'ai chez nous quand j'ai de quoi manger quand je me retourne. Avec l'Asperger's, l'autisme non fonctionnel, ça a été plus difficile pour moi-même à maintenir un emploi. J'ai eu bien de l'emploi, j'ai aimé durant la COVID, dans les CHSLD. C'est juste que c'est mal compris, mais on peut faire des compromis. Nous, les aspis, juste nous le dire, des fois directement. Tu sais, faut nous le dire, écoute, vous êtes intense, vous avez l'Asperger's, monsieur, madame, dragon, arc-en-ciel, artiste, athlète, dragon. Je me le dis, je vais prendre du recul, puis je vais dire, pas de problème. Moi, j'aime pas la violence, hein. Moi, j'aime pas la violence. J'aurais aimé faire une petite danse. La vague de paix que le gouvernement a montré, la vague de paix, là. La vague de paix, j'ai bien aimé ça, voir ça à la télé, les annonces de la vague de paix. Tu sais, pour que nos rues là, deviennent, tu sais, un terrain de jeu, là. T'sais, j'aime pas la violence, mais je peux être intense, surtout quand je m'entraîne, je fais l'entraînement physique, je fais du sport, la danse, quand je fais mes analyses en géopolitique, des fois, super intense, super concentré, super dedans. C'est ça l'Asperger's. L'autisme moindement, ça fait Puis moi, je suis quand même un individu autiste avec l'autisme moindement fonctionnel, Asperger's. Je peux pas parler pour tous les aspects, mais je fais partie de cette minorité de personnes, des citoyens, moins d'1%, hein? Moins de la moitié d'1%. 0,44, c'est pas beaucoup, là, de pourcentage, là. 0,44, même pas la moitié d'1%, même pas 1% de la population. Tu sais, la communauté LGBTQ, j'en fais partie aussi, mais c'est comme 5-6% qui sont bisexuels, homosexuels, lesbiennes. Ma communauté LGBTQ, moi-même, je suis androgène pansexuel, monsieur, madame, 50-50, homme-femme, femme-homme, 50-50. Androgène, je me considère androgène moi-même, pansexuel, homme-femme. Puis je vis avec l'autisme moindement fonctionnel, je vis avec l'Asperger's, comme je vis avec mes cicatrices, comme je vis avec la perte de mémoire. Je ne sais pas si c'est la COVID qui a causé. Puis aujourd'hui, je célèbre. Hein? Je fais la célébration avec cette marche. Et je pensais que j'allais vraiment mourir entre le 7 février 2020 et le 24 mars 2020. Entre le 7 février 2020 et le 24 mars 2020. Donc, entre le 7 février 2020 et le 24 mars 2020. Ça fait 5 ans déjà. 5 ans déjà. Entre le 7 février 2020 et le 24 mars 2020. 5 ans. Il y a 5 ans, j'étais vraiment malade dans ce temps-ci. Là, je venais peut-être de m'en sortir. Je venais commencer à me guérir, là. En mi-mars, là. Ça a commencé à peu près à mi-février. Jusqu'à la fin de février, j'étais vraiment malade. J'ai commencé à me sentir malade, puis j'ai eu comme une semaine, j'étais vraiment fou. Je pensais que j'allais mourir. Je pensais vraiment, c'était mes derniers jours. Hein. J'ai eu la COVID. Avant que ça s'appelle la COVID, je l'ai eu. Avant le lockdown, les fermetures, les ordres de rester à la maison, toutes ces choses-là qui se sont passées durant la COVID. je pensais que j'allais mourir. Je dis, qu'est-ce que c'est ça, là? Parce que c'est mes derniers jours, là, je meurs, puis j'ai pris de l'Advil, du Tylenol chez nous, je me suis fait dans le lit, j'étais dans le lit, puis je me suis dit, bon, j'appelle les urgences, puis j'étais pris, si j'appelle-tu les urgences, puis ben là, je vais voir, tu sais, je t'avais d'appeler les urgences un couple de fois, j'ai appelé fait un couple d'appel aux médecins, tout ça, puis ils disent, ouais, il paraît qu'il y a quelque chose qui se passe, qu'il y a cette chose qui se passe dans une grippe ou quelque chose, ils savaient pas c'était quoi, fait que je dis, bon, je sais pas, puis je pensais que j'allais mourir. Je dis, ben c'est mon dernier chapitre, tu sais. Puis après ça, j'ai pas été aux urgences, là. Mais j'ai dit, bah, j'appelle. Je pense que ça va servir à rien, je pense. Mais je sais pas, je pensais que j'allais mourir vraiment, là. J'étais vraiment malade. J'avais-tu appelé à l'hôpital? Je sais que j'avais pris des médicaments, puis j'avais passé comme pendant 3 jours, j'étais comme un blackout, là. J'ai un blanc de mémoire, j'étais vraiment malade, puis c'était comme. J'ai-tu comme un petit coma, je sais pas, j'étais-tu en coma, peut-être, pendant un couple de jours, là, peut-être c'est possible, mais j'étais vraiment malade, je pensais vraiment, j'ai jamais été malade de mes souvenirs, là, parce que ma mémoire était un peu blackout, comme l'amnésie rétrograde, là, j'ai de la misère à me souvenir, ma mémoire de plus que 7, 8, 9 ans, là, 10 ans, 11 ans, je me souviens juste avoir déménagé d'une place où j'avais beaucoup de moisissures, à Côte-des-Neiges, à Montréal, à Côte-des-Neiges, j'ai déménagé, puis j'ai déménagé une nouvelle place, j'étais en dépression suicidaire, puis en 2017, ça fait plus que 7 ans, en 2017, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. Cet événement, ça a en fait comme tout changé ma vie. J'ai commencé à établir un esprit de corps solide avec le Québécois. Ben, je vous considère comme ma famille, les Québécois, Québécoises, Canadiens, puis les États-Unis aussi, les Nord-Américains, puis tous ceux qui viennent nous rejoindre, évidemment, qui viennent nous rejoindre dans la grosse famille là, du collectif nord-américain, dans cette civilisation émergente, parce qu'on est une nouvelle civilisation qui émerge. On n'est pas divorcé de l'Occident, mais on a des distinctions. En tant que philosophe, j'avais proposé ma thèse, puis j'ai discuté même ma thèse là, qui inclut la théorie du collectif nord-américain, puis on est un collectif de civilisation émergente. Bon, je ne vais pas dévier là-dessus, mais pour dire qu'en 2017, en août et en octobre, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. Puis cet événement, ça a tout changé ma vie. Avant ça, j'étais en dépression, j'étais suicidaire. J'ai commencé à m'entraîner. Après ça, j'ai perdu jusqu'à maintenant entre 80 et 93 livres. J'ai vraiment perdu beaucoup de poids. J'ai vraiment perdu beaucoup de poids quand même. Là. C'était quelque chose que j'avais perdu du poids. Là. Je me suis entraîné. J'ai même créé mon propre système d'entraînement physique. Puis en 2019, juste avant que j'aille la COVID, parce qu'aujourd'hui, je célèbre ayant survécu la COVID. Hein? C'est une célébration, cette marche. Je célèbre maintenant. J'ai le sourire, je suis de bonne marche, je suis jovial, je suis joyeux, mais quand même en crise financière, mais j'ai survécu la COVID. Je pensais vraiment que c'était mon dernier chapitre. Mais avant que j'aille la COVID, en octobre-novembre 2019, puis j'ai la preuve j'avais conclu que l'être humain se dirige vers une conflagration internationale. Vers une guerre mondiale, dans d'autres mots, que l'être humain se dirige vers une conflagration internationale, vers une guerre mondiale. Une guerre mondiale. J'avais prévu ça, que l'être humain se dirige vers une guerre mondiale. Une 3e guerre mondiale, un conflit international en 2019. Puis principalement dû au fait que bien des régions, des nations, des pays, des civilisations n'ont pas été capables de régler leurs comptes, résoudre leurs problèmes qui dataient du 20e siècle, des conflits du 20e siècle, d'une manière totale et pacifique. Puis c'est ça qui arrive, hein? La Russie et l'Ukraine, c'est des conflits là, qui datent depuis que l'Union soviétique, de la guerre froide. Israël et Palestine, c'est des conflits du 20e siècle aussi qui ont recommencé. Hein? Ils ont recommencé parce qu'Hamas, l'Institut Hamas, il a été fondé dans les années 80, hein? Durant la guerre froide. Puis ces conflits-là, ils ont repris. Puis potentiellement, la Chine puis le Taïwan, c'est un autre conflit sur l'horizon. Là. Puis on se demande pourquoi durant les 5 dernières années passées de la COVID, que la Chine, ils ont augmenté, hein? leurs armes nucléaires. Pourquoi ça faisait des décennies qu'ils n'ont pas augmenté leurs armes nucléaires? Pourquoi maintenant, on se demande, tu sais? Fait quand même beaucoup, plus que 20% là, de la quantité, là, ils sont allés de comme 400 à 600, de comme 420, 425, 440, qui disaient. Puis là, l'année passée, en décembre, ils ont fait lundi qu'ils se sont rendus à 600. Fait que plus que 20%, quasiment 25%, ils ont augmenté leur arme nucléaire. Ils ont, en d'autres mots, en 5 ans, ils ont construit massif. Ils ont investi de manière massive dans l'armement nucléaire. Tu sais, il faut dire un point d'interrogation. Ben, c'est quand même, en tant qu'analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, je dois quand même dire que c'est une préparation pour potentiellement un conflit militaire. Tu sais, avec le Taïwan. Ben, le Taïwan, c'est une petite île, puis c'est un conflit qu'ils n'ont pas résolu du 20e siècle. Ça date de la guerre civile de la Chine. Je ne rentrerai pas dedans, mais je connais l'histoire parce que c'est la géopolitique. Hein? L'histoire, quand on est analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, c'est mon intérêt spécial en tant que citoyen qui vit avec cette condition de neurodivergence appelée comme l'Asperger's, l'autisme multifactoriel. Ben, je passe des heures par jour. C'est à chaque jour. Je fais des analyses, des révisions, des études dans la géopolitique. C'est à chaque jour, des heures puis des heures, je passe par jour là-dessus. Puis ça fait bien des années là, que je fais ça. C'est mon intérêt spécial. Ben, je pourrais en parler, on pourrait en parler, en discuter pendant 4, 5, 12 heures par jour. On étudie ensemble, on fait des révisions, là, puis c'est non-stop, c'est 24 sur 24. C'est ça l'Asperger's. On a des intérêts spéciaux. Ça peut être un problème parce qu'il y a des gens qui connaissent pas, puis si je commence à leur parler, peut-être, ben, juste me le dire, tu sais. Je veux rien savoir, puis that's it, that's all, hein? Je veux rien savoir, that's it, that's all. Ben, si vous voulez rien savoir de la géopolitique, ben, je peux vous chanter du rock'n'roll. Si vous voulez rien savoir du rock'n'roll et de la géopolitique, on peut parler du sport. Puis la danse est mon sport préféré. On peut danser. Hein? Je danse à chaque jour. La danse, l'entraînement physique, le sport, la géopolitique, puis le rock'n'roll. Je peux vous en chanter du jour au lendemain. Quand que le soleil se lève à l'ouest, correction, à l'est, il se couche à l'ouest. Le soleil se lève à l'est, il se couche à l'ouest. Le soleil se lève à l'est, il se couche à l'ouest. Puis ils vont le dire aussi, là, tu sais. Mais je vis avec ça, comme je vis avec mes cicatrices, comme je vis avec la perte de mémoire. Mais c'est possible que c'est la moisissure où j'ai été attaqué. J'ai bien des cicatrices là, sur mon corps, là. Même sur mon clitopénis. Hein. J'en parle des fois, je me gratte, mais m'a prescrit une crème, là, j'utilise, là, mais une crème, mais j'ai une cicatrice, une grosse cicatrice, comme une plaie, là, sur qu'est-ce que j'appelle mon clitopénis, 50-50, ma fusée androgyne, là. Des fois, ça donne un couple de pouces, mais des fois, c'est mini, petit, micro. Non, mais tu sais, je vis avec les cicatrices, puis je vis avec les cicatrices sur le corps, puis je vis avoir survécu la dépression, je vis avoir été suicidaire, j'ai survécu avoir été suicidaire, la dépression, j'ai survécu la COVID, j'ai cicatrices, ben, j'ai payé mon loyer pour le mois de mars, hein, puis that's it, that's all, tu sais, puis j'aime pas la violence, mais j'utiliserai seulement pour la défense. Pour vous défendre, s'il y aurait une invasion de côte à côte, j'irai tout de suite pour défense. La défense seulement, mes initiatives, protocoles. Puis quand je dis je vous fais appel à soutenir mon rêve, le royaume, le rêve qui se manifeste comme le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse, est fondamentalement, en essence, un appel à un partenariat public-privé pour le Québec, le Canada, puis le collectif nord-américain. Qu'est-ce que j'appelle, en tant que philosophe, le grand collectif de l'Amérique du Nord ou le complexe de civilisation nord-américain. Parce que le Québec, le Canada, on fait partie, veut pas. Puis comme j'ai dit auparavant, même si je ne soutiens pas Trump, puis depuis 2018, je fais appel à Donald Trump pour qu'il combat dans un combat de boxe sur la frontière canado-états-unienne parce que je veux qu'on construise ensemble un colisée 11 fois plus gros que les colisées et les arénas qui existent de la Ligue de football nationale. de la Ligue de football national, 11 fois plus gros. Un colisée énorme. Je veux qu'on bâtit pour avoir des sportus à perpetuus. Sportus à perpetuitas. Sportus à perpetuitas. Sportus et perpetuitas. Du sport en perpétuité. L'entraînement physique des pompes, de la danse, l'entraînement physique dans ce colisée. Puis les lycées, le secondaire, les universités qui participent. Puis 24 sur 24 de l'entraînement physique, puis bâtir ce colisée ensemble, sur la frontière canado-états-unienne, avec, bien sûr, le temple de la déesse oubliée, parce que je crédite avoir survécu la COVID à la déesse comme Dieu, déesse, mais je veux bâtir le temple de la déesse, puis parallèlement la pyramide, écarlate, écarlate, c'est rouge, ma couleur préférée, rouge, R-O-U-G-E, rouge, la pyramide, la maison du dragon, puis un 4e bâtiment que je veux avec l'aide des travailleurs en construction. Je vous crédite des bisous, des massages, puis de lavage de pieds pour en construire. Le palais du peuple arc-en-ciel, parce que j'en fais partie de la communauté LGBTQ, moi-même, androgyne, pansexuel. C'est quelque chose que j'en fais partie, je me cache pas, mais ça fait depuis des années que je suis ouvert, puis je me suis fait bien des amis, surtout à les parades. Nos parades de la nation en arc-en-ciel. Je chante pour mes lesbiennes, mes homosexuels. Ben oui, j'en fais partie, je suis pansexuel, monsieur, madame, 50-50, mais malheureusement, avec l'Asperger, j'ai perdu beaucoup d'amis. J'ai perdu beaucoup d'amis parce que c'est mal compris ma condition de... Les Aspergers, les Aspergers, les gens, ils pensent encore, bien déjà, ils pensent que c'est une maladie mentale ou quelque chose que il y a une contagion. Mais c'est pas une maladie mentale, ça peut pas s'attraper, c'est pas une condition, c'est pas une maladie mentale, c'est juste que notre cerveau, il est différent. Fait que, comme je vous ai expliqué tantôt, des fois, on a parce que c'est pas des symptômes. Symptômes, c'est pour une maladie. On a ces caractéristiques, puis on a de la misère avec certaines choses, des normes de la société, comme l'espace personnel, quand parler, quand se taire, quand ne pas parler, ou des fois des choses qu'on dit, ou des choses, on peut inspecter des choses bien proches du visage, de l'œil, puis on peut se concentrer sur des détails. On peut se concentrer sur des détails bizarres. On peut se concentrer sur des détails bizarres. C'est ça l'Asperger's. Je vis avec comme je vis avec en étant aujourd'hui en crise financière. Je vis avec. Là, je veux discuter la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, parce que de ma malédiction de l'Asperger's, ayant souffert, ayant perdu de l'opportunité de l'emploi, puis de l'emploi, de l'économie, blabla, mais aujourd'hui, quand même, je suis joyeux, mais que je me retourne chez nous, mais j'ai une connexion à l'Internet. Je peux regarder des films québécois ou américains, j'ai le Netflix. J'ai YouTube, je vais mettre cette vidéo sur YouTube, je suis ouvert pour les affaires, je suis dans ces affaires-là. Mon rêve, qui se manifeste comme le royaume de la déesse du dragon qui danse, est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé canado-états-unien pour construire, qu'est-ce que je dis de construire, le colisée du peuple impérial. Puis le premier événement, ça va être moi contre Trump à la boxe. J'avais appel à Donald Trump pour qu'il combat dans un combat de boxe depuis 2018. C'est là que je suis rentré dans la politique vraiment, parce qu'avant ça, je venais juste d'en sortir de ma dépression, comme je vous ai dit, quand j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. T'sais, je m'en souviens avoir déménagé d'une petite place à Côte-des-Neiges, à Montréal. Il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. Où j'habitais, il y avait beaucoup de moisissures. J'ai déménagé, j'étais en dépression. Puis, j'ai traversé le Canada de côte à côte. Puis cet événement, ça m'a tout changé ma vie. Ça a tout changé ma vie, cet événement-là. Depuis ce temps-là, j'ai commencé à m'entraîner. J'ai créé mon propre système d'entraînement physique que j'encourage les gens à le faire. Puis j'encourage qu'ils soient implémenté dans les écoles publiques, parce que ça ne requiert aucun équipement, puis mon entraînement, il y a une science derrière, ça augmente d'une manière générale le conditionnement physique. C'est bon pour le conditionnement physique. Moi, j'en ai performé plus que 372. 372. 372. Puis je vais faire un peu de throwback. Je vais faire encore un petit quelque chose. Peut-être cette semaine, je vais en faire un ou deux entraînements. Mon entraînement que j'ai fait, peut-être je vais en faire un en direct ou peut-être pas. Ça prend à peu près 1 heure à le faire. Pour ça, je dis que c'est parfait pour les écoles. Bon, je vais discuter maintenant de la théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est super important que j'en discute. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, parce que car est dû au fait que c'est la seule et unique solution en ce moment. C'est la seule et unique solution en ce moment. C'est la seule et unique solution en ce moment. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Pourquoi je dis que c'est la seule et unique solution? Mais peut-être pas la seule et unique solution, mais quelque chose qui ressemble à ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui est la solution en ce moment où on est rendu aujourd'hui. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. La TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. Pourquoi je me prononce ainsi? Bien, au fait que l'année passée, on a payé 46,5 milliards d'intérêts sur la dette publique. Juste l'intérêt sur la dette publique du Canada, c'était 46,5 milliards. OK? 3 ans auparavant, en 2020-2021, c'était 20,3 milliards. Fait que si vous faites le calcul mathématique, de 20,3 à 46,5, c'est plus que double. Hein? Parce que de 20,3 fois 2, c'est 40,6. Fait que 46,5, c'est plus que le double. Vous voyez? Fait que, mais imaginez-vous parallèlement qu'un citoyen X, Y, Z, si il faut qu'il paye, mettons, en 2020-2021, il a payé 156 $ d'intérêt. Puis là, c'est rendu l'année passée qu'il a payé 333. Fait que si ça saute de 156 à 333, de 156 à 333, c'est plus que double. Parce que 156 double, c'est 312. Fait que 333, c'est à peu près l'équivalent avec qu'est-ce que j'ai fait le calcul avec les finances publiques. Bien, évidemment, si le salaire ne double pas, il y a combien de salaires qui ont doublé? La moyenne des salaires qui a augmenté, c'était 4,4% d'augmentation. Fait que si le salaire reste, n'augmente pas, ou ben, il faut que ça double. Si on veut maintenir, si le citoyen XY, citoyen, citoyenne, si l'intérêt que la citoyenne ou le citoyen paye, si ça double, il faut que ça coupe dans le budget, ça coupe dans le budget. On n'a pas le choix de couper dans le budget. Il faut peut-être arrêter de consommer de l'alcool, du cannabis. Moi, je fume pas, je bois pas souvent. Les cigarettes, je fume pas la cigarette non plus. J'aime ça le bacon, j'aime ça les saucisses, j'aime ça le fromage, puis j'aime ça les gaufres. Les gaufres, là, les gaufres au chocolat, à noisette, puis même vanille, même fraises, les gaufres. Les gaufres, je vais en manger, j'en mange au quotidien. Si je peux me permettre, là, des fois non, là, mais d'habitude, je les vois en spécial, j'achète des gaufres. J'aime ça les gaufres, puis de temps en temps, je peux me permettre un vin, puis du miel. J'aime ça le sucré, dans d'autres mots. Bon, en tout cas, puis j'aime ça bien manger, j'aime ça l'entraînement physique, puis j'aimerais ça me permettre un massage, mais bon, les millionnaires, il faut qu'ils financent un massage aux pompiers. Pompiers, puis les infirmières, puis les travailleurs publics qui ramassent les poubelles. Les millionnaires, milliardaires qui financent un massage aux pompiers, aux infirmières, aux pompiers, aux infirmières, aux pompiers aux infirmières, aux pompiers, aux infirmières, aux pompiers pour les infirmières, pompiers, puis infirmières, il faut qu'ils financent un massage à eux autres. Ils méritent bien plus que moi. Ils ont ramassé le recyclage, puis ils vont ramasser les poubelles. Ce soir, le lundi, c'est le ramassage dans mon quartier. Côte-de-Neige, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, dans la métropole de Montréal. Bon, bien, c'est évidemment, il faut que... Si l'intérêt seulement... Moi, j'ai pas de carte de crédit. Personnellement, j'ai pas de carte de crédit. J'ai une ligne d'intérêt qu'on appelle une ligne de crédit. Je suis 10 000 $ en dette. Donc, j'ai une dette à la Banque royale du Canada, la RBC, de 10 000 $. Je paye moins 11% d'intérêt. Fait que j'ai pas de carte de crédit. Mais quelqu'un qui a des cartes de crédit, si l'intérêt double, qu'il paye en 3 ans, il faut que ça coupe dans le budget, hein, parce qu'on ne peut pas dépenser la même chose, parce que l'intérêt, ça demande plus de financement, plus d'argent. Puis c'est ça qui est arrivé avec la dette publique. L'intérêt, ça a plus que doublé en 3 ans. C'est plus que le double. C'est plus que double que ça a été auparavant. Fait que l'économie canadienne le produit intérieur, l'économie canadienne n'a pas doublé, ça a augmenté d'1%, 2%, 3%, c'est même allé dans le négatif. Fait que vous imaginez que qu'est-ce qu'on va couper dans les services publics? La police, le service de sécurité, la GRC, la gendarmerie royale canadienne, les prisons, les institutions de correction, les ramassages des poubelles, dans la santé, il va falloir couper. Imaginez-vous, là, en 2021, on a payé 20,3 milliards. 1 milliard, c'est en 9 zéros, ça c'est 20 000 millions. L'année passée, on a payé 46,5 milliards d'intérêts seulement. Seulement l'intérêt sur la dette publique, ça a plus que doublé. Vous imaginez qu'aujourd'hui, c'est arrivé que la bourse était dans le rouge. C'est possible qu'un effondrement boursier a commencé aujourd'hui, le 10 mars, parce que vous avez vu, ça a tombé 900 points. Là. C'était des gros pourcentages, là. C'était dans le rouge. Aujourd'hui, c'est vert, rouge. Fort rouge, pas juste rouge, mais rouge. C'est possible que ça tombe là, cette semaine. C'est possible que ça tombe. C'est possible qu'il y ait un effondrement financier public et ce qui est privé. Là. Parce que les finances publiques et privées, c'est quand même à peu près la même chose. Fait que là, TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, c'est quand même la solution ou quelque chose qui ressemble. Je regarde vers la lune un peu, commencer à chanter comme un loup à la lune. Mais la TRD, il faut que je vous l'explique, puis après ça, je chante. Parce que c'est la solution, mes chers. Puis vous pouvez vous ostiner tant que vous voudrez, mais il n'y a pas d'autre solution que la T, ou quelque chose qui ressemble à ma théorie qui s'appelle la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui inclut en dedans d'elle la théorie d'intégration monétaire. Qu'est-ce que c'est la théorie d'intégration monétaire? C'est la théorie que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation en Europe dans les années 80. Les Allemands ils ont détruit leur banque centrale nationale, les Italiens aussi n'ont plus de banque centrale nationale comme ici au Canada, aux États-Unis. Fait que... Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette, mais je vous l'explique, encore une fois, la TRD, ça contient la théorie d'intégration monétaire, ce qui est la théorie qui ont fait de l'implémentation, les Européens, en faisant, bien sûr, ma TRD, ça contient cette théorie, la théorie d'intégration monétaire, c'est la théorie financière que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation par la création de la Banque centrale européenne, puis ils ont mis en marché une nouvelle monnaie, l'euro. Euro, c'est une monnaie commune pour bien des pays. Fait que ma TRD, ça contient cette théorie en dedans d'elle, ma théorie est intégrée, la théorie d'intégration monétaire, ce qui est la théorie financière que les Européens ont fait de l'implémentation. Fait que je vous l'explique maintenant. Puis encore une fois, vous pouvez vous ostiner, mais c'est la solution, hein. C'est quelque chose qui ressemble fortement à ma théorie, parce que il va falloir qu'on coupe, là, dans le budget. C'est possible qu'il y ait dès demain un effondrement des finances publiques canadiennes. Sur l'horizon, là, c'est possible que ça commence dès demain, parallèlement à l'effondrement boursier, qui est plus privé que public. Ben, quand même, il y a du privé dans le public, puis du public dans le privé, là, parce que, tu sais, la bourse aussi a de l'intégration avec les choses publiques qu'on a, c'est quand même des partenariats public-privé dans bien des choses aussi. Fait que, bon, je vous l'explique. On va prendre toute la dette publique-privée, incluant mon 10 000, ton 10 000 de côte à côte, toute la dette des Canadiens. Puis il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation simultanément, de préférence avec les États-Unis en même temps, Canada-États-Unis, puis ça va prendre un partenariat public-privé pour faire l'implémentation. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette, incluant mon 10 000, de côte à côte. On va faire la conversion de toute la dette publique-privée des Canadiens dans la devise des États-Unis. Tout cet argent-là, la dette publique-privée, on va ramasser avec les États-Unis. on va faire la conversion de toute la dette publique privée canadienne, de côte à côte, dans la devise des États-Unis. Cet argent-là, on va faire de l'addition ensemble, l'addition avec la dette publique privée des États-Unis, et cet argent-là, ça va fonder l'argent initial en circulation qui existe avec la dette publique des États-Unis, l'argent en circulation. Ça va être l'argent initial pour la création d'une nouvelle monnaie qui va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va l'appeler UI. On ne s'obstinera pas parce qu'en anglais, c'est pareil. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. UI. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. Le UI. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. Unité d'échange universelle. Le UI. On ne s'obstinera pas, en anglais c'est pareil. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. L'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle. UI. U point unité, E point échange, U point universel. L'unité d'échange universelle va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. L'unité d'échange universelle. L'unité d'échange universelle. UI. L'unité d'échange universelle. Fait que l'unité d'échange universelle va avoir la valeur du dollar des États-Unis avec cet argent-là, ça va être de l'argent initial pour la création de cette nouvelle banque. Fait que UI. L'unité d'échange universelle. Cet argent-là, avec cet argent-là, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif nord-américain, bâtir les 44 tunnels, le chiffre après 43 c'est 44, avant 45 c'est 44, inspiré par les montagnes Cheyenne puis par le village souterrain de Montréal, les 44 tunnels qu'on va bâtir dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. Dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire, on va bâtir ces tunnels. On va bâtir 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire. Parce que c'est possible qu'il y ait une guerre nucléaire. La Chine a augmenté l'armement nucléaire, là, massif. Puis on construit un énorme complexe militaire. On se demande pourquoi ils ont investi massif. Bon, fait que l'armée, avec cet argent-là, on va faire la fondation pour l'armée du dragon. Pour l'armée du dragon qui va être seulement initiative de partenariat public-privé, l'armée du dragon, seulement pour la sécurité, le service puis la défense. Seulement pour la sécurité puis le service puis la défense. Seulement pour la sécurité puis le service puis la défense. Défense de côte à côte. Avec cet argent-là, on va pouvoir rebâtir on va bâtir plus de centrales de l'Hydro-Québec. Go Hydro-Québec, go. Plus de centrales de l'Hydro-Québec. Bâtir plus de centrales de l'Hydro-Québec. Financer les gens à l'entraînement physique. Financer le tourisme nord-américain pour le bien-être, puis pour fonder un esprit de corps solide avec les États-Unis, puis la fusion du Nord puis du Sud, du Nord les Canadiens, nous, les Québécois canadiens, avec nos frères des États-Unis, on va faire un recensement, l'Amérique du Nord, un passeport commun, puis on va finir avec la frontière, on va mettre pour la défense, parce que la défense, c'est plus les ports et les aéroports qu'il faut qu'on se concentre, les ports et les aéroports. Les ports et les aéroports, c'est mieux qu'on se concentre là-dessus. Fait qu'en faisant l'implémentation de ma TRD, théorie, R, refusion de la dette, en faisant l'implémentation de ma TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, la théorie, R, refusion de la dette, la théorie de la refusion de la dette, en faisant l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, on va faire l'implémentation de la théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui inclut la théorie d'intégration monétaire. On va faire la création de cette nouvelle monnaie. Ça va prendre un partenariat public-privé. Puis avec cet argent-là, on va pouvoir financer la reconstruction, rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif nord-américain, rebâtir les ponts. Ben des ponts, ça fait plus que 44 ans, là, depuis avant 1980. Avant février 1980, qui n'ont pas été construits, rebâtis ben des ponts, pas celui-là parce que celui-là est nouveau, mais ben de l'infrastructure. On va pouvoir bâtir plus de parcs, rebâtir les aqueducs, ben des choses qu'on va pouvoir faire avec la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, la TRD, on va pouvoir rebâtir le collectif nord-américain, bâtir puis faire l'implémentation de l'opération Scorpion du Nord, basée sur mon initiative et ma théorie de défense, la théorie de défense mobile totale ou le système, la théorie de la défense mobile totale. Je ne rentrerai pas dans des détails parce que je mets ça sur YouTube. C'est une question de sécurité nationale, donc je ne peux pas tout à fait dire à 100% divulguer trop d'informations vis-à-vis de cette théorie parce que ça prend pour le ministère de la Sécurité publique du Québec, puis du Canada, puis des États-Unis ensemble pour faire avec l'implémentation, l'appel à l'armée du dragon. L'armée du dragon, qui est fondamentalement pour le collectif nord-américain, l'une institution pour la sécurité, pour la défense, pour le service du 21e siècle. Une nouvelle institution basée fondamentalement sur un partenariat public-privé, puis sur des principes comme le corps, c'est un temps pour le plaisir, puis pour le but. Puis le corps, c'est un temps. Puis la valorisation du collectif nord-américain. La valorisation du collectif nord-américain, puis c'est fondamentalement un partenariat public-privé. Et l'armée du dragon, en complémentaire avec l'armée de la déesse qui danse. L'armée de la déesse qui danse. Soit la Ligue de danse de l'Amérique du Nord pour le plaisir, puis l'environnement. Pour le plaisir, puis pour l'environnement. Pour le plaisir, puis pour l'environnement. Pour le plaisir, puis pour l'environnement. Ça fait toute partie ces deux institutions complémentaires de partenariat public-privé, de partenariat public-privé fondamentalement pour le collectif nord-américain. Pour le collectif nord-américain de côte à côte d'océan-océan, 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 de côte à côte d'océan-océan. Pour en faire partie, mais moi-même, tu sais. Pour enfants, tu sais, c'est ici qu'on doit bâtir. Tu sais. Je vis avec mes cicatrices. Hein. Je vis avec mes cicatrices. Je vis avec mes cicatrices. Je vis avec mes cicatrices. Je vis avec la perte de mémoire. Je vis avec mes cicatrices. Je vis avec ça. Je vis avec l'Asperger's. Mais je vis avec. Puis je veux vivre. Puis il y a tellement de choses que je veux faire. Puis j'aime ça vous voir joyeux. J'aime ça vous voir à la danse. J'aime ça faire du matchmaking. J'aime ça boire du vin de temps en temps, rarement fumer du cannabis. J'aime ça faire le rock'n'roll quand je chante du rock'n'roll, puis quand je le marche, je suis de bonne humeur. Quand je m'en vais à la montagne, à ma deuxième maison, je suis de bonne humeur. Visiter tellement de choses, je veux bâtir, visiter la baie James, les centrales d'Hydro-Québec où ils ont bâti ça, puis voir ça, puis il y a tellement de choses que je veux faire moi-même. Faut faire bien des choses, bien du travail. Ben du travail qu'il faut qu'on fasse, puis ben des choses qu'il faut qu'on fasse pour en faire, puis pour le bâtir, bien sûr. Dans ces choses de bâtir plus de centrales, puis je vois du rouge, du orange et du dragon pour en faire. L'armée du dragon, du partenariat public-privé, intégré avec tout ce qui existe maintenant, intégré avec tout le public puis le privé, c'est une intégration totale, tu sais. Puis moi, j'aime pas la violence, j'aime pas la violence. La violence, j'aime pas ça, mais j'aime ça mieux l'entraînement physique. Puis de l'agression, il faut faire la sublimation. Puis je suis quelqu'un qui aime pas la violence, mais avec la TRD, on va pouvoir rebâtir l'infrastructure. On va pouvoir bâtir l'infrastructure, puis bâtir toutes ces choses-là qu'on va bâtir avec l'implémentation de ma TRD. Puis encore une fois, c'est la seule unique solution. Fait que là, on s'en va vers faire du rock'n'roll bilingue. Let's go! Let's go for the rock and roll for the farmers and the truckers. On the butchers, how about the construction workers with the steel toes? They go on the cranes to build those lanes. On you go, we gotta go for the fame. Give them some of that massages. Wall Street ain't about all the money. What you say, how the heart and the pot of the honey. You gotta give it for those who worked up to give me more. All the steel and the metal on the floor. You got the cement or the truckers, that's the trucker. Gotta go north and south, you know what about on the march and on the go, on another round, the round we go. So many spiel on the spiel, so many wheels on the wheels, so many no's so that you know airplanes on the airports they go for the Dragon Army on the road. Truckers and the butchers and the bakers and the farmers, firefighters. For those public workers, gotta give me some work. Gotta give me some work. Working out and eat and sleep. You know, God, we got nothing to do. We got everything to do and so much to do. So much to see, so much to do. Truckers on the road, they go east and north the coast. Rail train conductors, look at the big cranes, machines, build the construction workers, building our steel toes. You got the frame up in the low, you got a plane up in the low, you got a plane up in the go. You know, up in the frame, you know we got the reins. Switching so much pain for the steel and for the metal. So you know we got a metal for the steel and for the metal. That construction workers gotta say it. For the red, that's what I said. And the scarlet, that's a blade. And the scarlet, that's a lead. And the scarlet, that's a lead. For the hot and fumble. For the hot and fumble. You know that we in the concrete jungle. Rainbow Dragon rock and roller. For the truckers on the road and the daycares in the daycare. Changing some of those diapers that you know we gotta love it. It ain't all about Wall Street, flipping burgers on the streets. For the fast food for you eat, fries and burgers, cheese and burgers. You know that I sing it, swing it. In the motels, in the hotels, they be on the lane we go. You know that's the mantra, you know we changing lanes. Ain't nobody got a framer. So you know construction workers, for the butchers and the bakers. They gotta see up in the seas, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Gotta salute the farmers, firefighters, nurses and the bakers, in the butchers in the kitchen. Gotta swing up in the listen, so you know we freeze and listen for la French we aime bien province. Et que je chante une chanson de la tourne les camionneurs, les infirmières, les bouchers des moulangeries, ce qu'ils font. Et de la pizza, donne-moi par ici, que ça danse de la belle province. Regarde ben du ciment qui avance, du métal, l'aluminium. Le dragon en arc-en-ciel, comme un fleuve, ben ça danse. Pas de bottes de cap d'acier, que je vous en dise, s'il vous plaît. Travailler de Québec, sa route de la belle province. Salut pis ça danse, pas besoin de chanter en latin, pas besoin de la messe. Pas besoin de la messe, juste bouger votre tête. Pas besoin de la messe. Juste ça bouge de la tête, juste ça bouge de la tête. Les cloches de l'église, pas besoin de trop les entendre. Que ça danse, tante Denise, quand on me dit pas besoin des cloches de l'église, je fais une révolution ben vite. Sois tranquille, sa table, ça met des bisous pis des chatouilles, pis sa pleine salutation de la belle province. Le dragon arc-en-ciel, il est bizarre. Il est autiste. Ben artiste, hey. Cabote, sabote. Et regarde, c'est pleine, Céline. Ça longe, ça avance, ça longe, ça avance. Ça ronge, ça avance, ça ronge, ça avance, ça ronge, ça danse. Ça danse, ça ensemble, ça danse, ça ensemble, ça danse, ça ensemble. Belle la belle mauvaise bien notre arc-en-ciel, puis ça donne sa cloche les ceintures, la ceinture, la serre, ça serre, ça serre. Avance, ça avance, c'est plein, c'est la lune, c'est plein, c'est la lune, c'est plein, c'est la lune, c'est plein, c'est la lune. Ça danse tout ensemble, ça danse, ça fasse les étoiles, puis ça danse. Bury me with Papa Crowley, up and down New Jersey, up in the Hamptons, a third of me up in Mount Royal, third of me City of the Pyramids. There'll be avenged 11-fold, so you know that if I told ya. Keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for a blessing. Angel Hunter Dragon got a kiss it. Who want a kiss? My rainbow dragon booty get that minging some of that Caesar cock. Julius Caesar cock. Black and white, but Julius Caesar cock only. I said cucko. Playing everything just asked for. Gotta kiss it on the door. Gotta knock it on the floor. Got a cock and pussy for my homos that are kisses. So you know we rock and lit it, rock and listen. Satellites up in the sky, you know that never dies. For the sun up in the sky, that Oppenheimer, that nuclear weapons. Gotta sing it for your swinging, gotta sing it for the butchers and the bakers and the nurses and the truckers and the firefighters. See downtown it. That's the mantra you see we frowning. What for you gotta sing it, Crowley, that's the Crowley. Bury me the sun, sing it, bury me the sun, moonlit it for the goddess. I swing those hips, go retarded. What about it? When I freestyle on the rock and roll, you know I said it. Said I said, give me some kisses, give me some hugs. What I need for, that's the blessing. All else is a curse. But some of that good loving like the snake kisses. All else is a curse. Give me some of that good love like the snake kisses. All of that, some of that good love like the snake kisses. I didn't know we got those millions. I don't know about the 51st state, but I play for the states. You know we gotta unite across the border. That's unite. That's the cardinal, you know, to go. For the truckers on the go, going down east and west and north and south. I see all the skyscrapers, what I'm about. I see all the skyscrapers, you know what I'm about. I see all the skyscraper, you know what I'm about. I gotta sing it loud, look at the lights, how to come back, go up polite. Gotta give me some rude, I can be that rude. I can be a little rude. What you looking at the booty for? What I kiss it for? Gotta kiss it on the floor, what you live for? Gotta be on the road. All the way to Tennessee, by Alabama, by Atlanta. You gotta kiss it for New York, all the way to San Francisco, Niners. Give some charity, don't be so selfish. Give some charity, don't be so selfish. Give some charity, don't be so selfish. I'm from Wall Street, I'm gonna be BDSM switch. Put me on a leash. Put you on a leash. Go about it with a leash. So you know we got a freezer, steel toes up and knees. East to coast to coast, coast to coast, ocean to ocean. You gotta go coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Gotta know coast to coast, ocean to ocean. That's the time zones. You gotta feel in the time zones. You gotta feel for the time zones. Time zone. My stock crash, stock market crash. It's in the red zone. Fumble, don't fumble. Dancing is my favorite sport. Shake that booty twerking. In the zone frozen. So you know I gotta kiss, I gotta listen. Gotta kiss, I gotta listen for the full moon goddess and goddess. I wanna build the temple so retarded. What about it? Et ça danse la lumière, regarde la lumière de l'Américain, ça danse la lune. Il va avancer, ça pédale, ça danse. Lié les cheveux longs, longs, longs. Ça danse tout le long, long, long. Les gratte-ciels de la monnaie à la joie que ça danse, ça flash. Ça tourne en bas des lumières, ça monte les échelles, l'échelle, l'escalier, ça danse. Tante, ma tante, sa tante, la tante, sa tante, la tante, sa tante s'avance. La tante, c'est la fabrique, la tante, sa tante sur la montagne. Et la belle promesse, ça danse avec les écureuils qui me regardent. T'es un peu fou, je suis un peu folle, un peu folle, un peu fou, un peu fou, un peu folle. Que ça danse comme un peu fou, mais ça danse la crème, que j'en veux des beignes. Que ça danse encore, ça fait les minutes de charger. Et regarde comme il chantait. Ben, on a besoin de, s'il vous plaît, l'argent, je n'ai pas. Fait que vous voulez des bisous à la place que moi. Danse, les orteils, les sourcils, ça monte jusqu'au le béni. Pas besoin de la bénite, donnez-moi une bière à la place que je vous chante, ça danse. Et regarde. That's that Rainbow Dragon rock and roll 24/7, get that trance, you know. I into those rock and roll trances. No, trance, rock and roll 24/7. Let's go for one more. Give me some of that good loving. Give me some of that good loving. Shake the boots, sign the salute. I said, give me some of that good loving. Shakes the boots, I got a salute. Give me some of that good loving. Got the boots, got a salute. Got the boots, got a salute. Give me some of that good loving. And you know we gotta keep 'em coming. I don't know, they gotta keep on screaming. I don't know, they call me demon, dragon demon, lick the pussy, kiss the cocks. Hey, I don't know, but on the block, rainbow, but I'd go the thunder dark. Thunder dark. Hot, get a fumble, you get sacked. Get a fumble, you get sacked. I got it in the huddle, gotta get that stiff arm. Gotta get it for the rocket. Gotta please gotta rockets. Got a rainbow dragon, listen. Why they call me that no demon? Hey, so what if I swallow semen? They really call him demon. So what if I swallow semen? I don't know, they call me demon. I don't know, so what I swallow semen? The butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters. The butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters. The butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the firefighters. See those lights? They cars, they going west. They going west, they going restless, time to rest. Hey, you know that's the best rock and roll you ever heard. Kiss, 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 kiss and hug, don't waste your time. Kiss, 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 kiss and hug, don't waste your time. Do some push-ups for the muscle, do some push-ups for the hustle. I ain't got the money, but the guitar gotta rustle, gotta rumble. So you know up in Wall Street that you know you gotta kiss, that you know you gotta eat. So you know I gotta defeat, you know I gotta defeat. They be rainbow dragon this, rainbow dragon lit. So you know the coffee please, you don't know about Wall Street. So you know the demon list, and demon Lisa, I know about the list. Rainbow dragon, that's a demon, no. I just rainbow flavor that. I just label that. Black and white. But generals only. Kakanada. Black and white, but generals only. That's the dragon, generals only. Refuse none, that's the Crowley, 93. Walk with me. Better thunder, may I be avenged 11-fold, may I be avenged 11-fold. That's a verb, you know, see. That's a verb, you know, to see. I like to say, oh, nobody, nothing, pledge your allegiance. We Dragon Army, ain't no demons. Dragon Army, ain't no demons. Service. Protective kisses, that's the rock, you know. That's the rock and roll, that's all I know. That's the rock and roll, you know, I know. My sound that poetic, that's the glow. And you see, that's Montreal. Montreal, look at that. Montreal. Downtown core area. Let's shake it up a bit. Oh, yeah. Gotta go in there, you know. Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah. Montreal, la ville. La métropole. Le Montréal que je vous chante, quoi qu'ils disent, démon, dis pas de démon, le dragon, y a pas de démon, le dragon, y a pas de démon, le dragon. La pyramide de l'arc-en-ciel, c'est bientôt la République, métropole de Montréal, c'est une île. Sur l'île que ça danse, bec chatouille, ça avance. Qui me regarde, puis ça saute comme des sauterelles dans les airs. Le rock'n'roll que j'avance, sa pyramide. Sur la pyramide, c'est mon gratte-ciel. Le gratte-ciel que je préfère, le gratte-ciel que je préfère. Animal de calvaire, les rapaces s'entourent. Et regarde, métropole, ben des millions de gens qui habitent. Les coudes de foudre qui se ramassent, qui se donnent. Des bisous, pas le rock'n'roll, des bisous, pas le rock'n'roll, aïe, rock'n'roll, j'peins un démon, j'suis un dragon, aïe, c'est le rock'n'roll, j'peins un démon, j'suis un rock'n'roll, aïe, c'est le rock'n'roll, j'peins un démon, j'suis le rock'n'roll, aïe, j'suis pas le démon, j'suis le rock'n'roll, pas de démon, c'est le dragon. J'suis pas un démon, j'suis le dragon. J'suis pas un démon, j'aime le rock'n'roll. J'suis pas un démon, j'suis le dragon. J'aime le rock'n'roll. Ben c'est tout, ben bénite, ben fermier, ben ça plombe les plombiers pis les chaufferettes. Charpentier, ça charpente, ça arpente, c'est le Montréal, ça descend des arbres. Puis j'avance, ben ça recule, les autos, ben ça m'entoure. De la belle province que je chante. Pour que vous enseignez les Québécois ensemble les montagnes. Ça sève. Ça neige, ça plaine, ils font du ski, ben ensemble, les coups de téléviseur sont souris, ça descend, ben ça monte, la cloche, ça cloche, la cloche, ça cloche, danse la gauche, la droite à gauche, ça saute dans un air comme ça sauterelle, là, ça saute, ben ensemble, ben la République. Si je suis pas un démon, je suis un dragon, j'aime le rock'n'roll, that's all, j'aime le rock'n'roll, je suis pas un démon, je suis un dragon, j'aime le rock'n'roll. Je suis pas un démon, je suis un dragon. J'aime le rock'n'roll, that's all. Hey, regarde, puis ça avance. Hey, regarde, puis ça bouge. C'est que tu voyais, c'est les lumières de la métropole centre-ville, de Montréal, juste en haut, les gratte-ciels. La lumière, puis ça avance. La lumière, ben ça danse. Si vous parlez pas d'amour, je veux les savoir. 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 Je deviens sourd, je l'entends mal. Pas de mal, j'ai pas de mal, je que la fuck. La fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck. Quelle chanson sans faire rire, c'est la comédie, ben pour rire. Pour rire de la comédie, pour rire de la comédie, pour rire de la comédie. La comédie est bien réussie. Le rock'n'roll, ça avance bien des lumières. La belle province, c'est la métropole que je vous regarde, ça sonne des cloches, ça semble, et ouah, la pleine lune, ouah, la pleine lune s'en vient. Regarde les ailes, la danse en dessous des échelles, wouhou, la gauche, la droite, ensemble pour la danse. C'est l'office du rock'n'roll. Que je fasse face. Rock'n'roll, les tap de main, tap de main, tap de main, des pieds. Les orteils, ça danse. Je suis pas un démon, je suis un dragon, puis j'aime le rock'n'roll, that's all. Je suis pas un démon, je suis un dragon, puis j'aime le rock'n'roll, that's all. Je suis pas un démon, je suis un dragon, j'aime le rock'n'roll, that's all. Des grosses fesses, des pénis aussi. Hey, j'étais arc-en-ciel, vous savez, des stis. Des pénis, clitoris. J'aime les deux, l'androgène. Homme, femme, monsieur, madame, de la nuit, l'écarlate, plombe, scorpionne, ça pique. Ça pique, ça graisse, ça danse. Ensemble, des bisous, noir et blanc, arc-en-ciel, des généraux, hey. À soir, je m'imagine, lui sire avec... Jules César qui vient, puis une plombe dragon, puis font l'amour. Jules César, puis Louis Cyr, un plombe vient me faire l'amour. Louis Cyr, puis Jules César, qui me plombe, il vient me faire l'amour. Des gros belles légions, les dragons, ben légion, les géants, légion, pas de démon, j'suis un dragon, qui j'aime le rock'n'roll, that's all. I'm not a demon, I'm a dragon, I love rock'n'roll, that's all. And tonight, Julius Caesar's by my side. Give me some of that good Legion cock. Right. Julius Caesar cock. So dragon, rainbow booty dragon takes. Black and white of Julius Caesar only. Generals only. I wrote a good homosexual rock and roll song, man. Julius Caesar cock. It's what I love to suck, what I love to fuck. Julius Caesar cock. It's what I love to suck, what I love to fuck. It's more like a rap than rock and roll, that one though. But nonetheless, I have to put 18 plus for this one. But no, because I guess South Park is gonna get it with that, but whatever. 16 plus, I guess. Not even. I don't know. You tell me. Whatever the case may be. Maybe I'm gonna have to rate it 18 plus, eh? Now with South Park was swear more than me, man. Grateful, thankful, rents paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee, pledge your allegiance. Grazie, j'ai payé mon loyer, j'ai payé ma facture d'électricité, and that's why I gotta go. A little bit of that rock and roll. A little bit of that good rock and roll, so that's it. 2 more hours, about 2 more hours to go for me to get more than 4 hours, so that's what it is. We chop it up here, we're not gonna film a long, well, it's already past a few hours for this video, sometimes we do shorts, 93 seconds, sometimes we do hour-long marches, my march continues. I'm far from kilometers, miles away from my headquarters. Underground lair, je suis loin des kilomètres de chez nous, fait que c'est encore 2 heures jusqu'à chez nous, because I'm gonna go like snake comme un serpent, mais je suis quand même loin de chez nous, mais c'est ça que je vais faire, je vais aller chez nous, mais gonna eat, feast, celebrate 5 years, marking 5 years since I survived COVID, Yep, I'm gonna be celebrating until March 24th about. So, celebration, man, 5 years. Survived COVID. Thought I was gonna die. Thought that was my last chapter, but it wasn't. So here I am. I thought really that was gonna be it for me, but somehow it wasn't, and I survived. And here I am, auctioning everything that I'm wearing and selling it for that auction now. And I got vaccines over here, 3 vaccines over there. There's a hospital there, so my 3 vaccines, COVID vaccines, I got them over there somewhere. So close, right there at the corner like that. I got the vaccines here. So je me suis fait vacciner 3 fois ici. Ici juste là, 3 fois. That's it, 3 vaccines for me. That's all. Triple vaxxed. Right here, the hospital, l'hôpital, ici à l'hôpital. Je me suis fait vacciner 3 fois, mais that's it, or that's all. 3 vaccine is good to go, but I keep the protocols for COVID. You know, I open carry right here. My disinfectant, the hand sanitizer, I got a made in Canada one. J'ai mon désinfectant fait du Canada pour les microbes, les bactéries ici avec moi, mais fait du Canada. Des fois, je l'utilise si je m'en vais dans des magasins ou des choses comme ça, puis ils n'ont pas le large, j'utilise le mien. So if I go in the store and they don't have their own there, that I could use some from the stores or from the bank teller machine. When I use the ATM, you know, you press the buttons, and I like to keep the protocols in the public, and I get dirty myself, don't get it back clean, but je me salue aussi, n'inquiétez-vous pas, je suis pas parfait loin de là, you know. Je me nettoie, puis j'aime ça qu'on garde les protocoles de sanitation dans le public. I like to keep the public sanitation protocols, you know. I think public sanitation protocols are important. Public sanitation protocols are important. Je pense que les protocoles de sanitation, c'est important. And, you know, gotta salute the firefighters. LOV to the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, grocery store, all involved, you know, in the production, distribution of food, you know. I gotta send them some loving. You know. Always gotta send some love. I'm grateful, thankful. Rent's paid, electricity bills paid, got food and coffee. And the bakers, the butchers, those in the fast food, making some cheeseburgers, hamburgers, you know, ceux qui sont font bien sûr dans la nourriture, des pizzas lundi, Monday. Stock market crash special beginning, I think began on today. Kind of looks like a stock market crash. Ça a l'air un effondrement de la bourse qui vient de commencer aujourd'hui, lundi, Monday, and with those tariffs back and forth, and you know, it's a trade war began, and with some absolvents from some of the goods, but not all, only like 44% or something for the goods. So a lot of the goods going into US are tariffs, and now there was a tariff on electricity from Ford. Ford was putting on a little bit of a tough tariffs on the US, so un tarif de, bien sûr, de Ford. What's that? It's a question mark. 3 question mark, right? It's like question mark. No. I guess that's mafia. F. If that's an F, that's mafia. No Khazarian mafia? Question mark. No Khazarian mafia. Khazarian. Like the Khazars? I know historically the Khazars, but I don't know if these Khazars are gone in history, you know. It was the Khazaric Empire of Khazar. The Caucasus Mountain, or present-day Russia, about Georgia around there. Something like that. I'm not an expert on Khazarian. I think that's what they meant. Khazarian mafia. I don't know, so it's a question mark, whatever they meant with that. I don't have maybe the answer. Maybe, I don't know. You tell me. There's lots of mafias, lots of underworld, I guess. Underworld. Maybe. I'm not part of any underworld mafia whatsoever, you know. I'm just an aspie artist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical, theoretical analyst and theorist, you know, who's going on some LOV march, you know. And that's what, heading back to my headquarters. Grateful, thankful. I know somebody making some love, so that's always good to go with me. So gotta turn on the other side there, and gonna go up and getting some under that good loving, man. So just gonna cross the street here, and saluting all, and I love you, make love tonight. I'm gonna check. Is there something online, conspiracy theories or mafia, Khazarian mafia? What is that? I don't know. What I know is pledge your allegiance to our family. I know my dream, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. Pledge your allegiance, support the dream. I know that all who pledge allegiance are my family. That's it. That's all, rock and roll.